Chapter 159. I'm talking about soul power. Whose soul power do you think is being consumed by the glazed golden lotus body? Wang Feng stared into Ningrongrong's eyes. The golden lotus in his hand slowly bloomed, and the 7 treasures glazed pagoda dimmed. It's my soul power. Mine. Do you know? Ningrongrong stared into Wang Feng's eyes, and the 7 treasures glazed pagoda slowly returned to her hand. Humph. Ningrongrong felt her body returning to its original state, and she was very reluctant. Especially there, the 2 of them returned to the audience. Everyone looked at the 2 of them in a daze. Rongrong, you were so beautiful just now, and you became so powerful. Xiao Wu was the first to walk over. She said to Ningrongrong, Master said that you guys used a martial soul fusion skill, right? What a powerful martial soul fusion skill. Ningrongrong's face under the mask smiled like a blooming flower in spring, but her tone was still indifferent. Humph, it's nothing. Everyone should get used to it. I will be more powerful in the future. From now on, I, Ningrongrong, will change my profession. I am not just an auxiliary-type soul master anymore. Although her tone was very calm. However, everyone could hear the joy in her voice. Everyone, how was your soul power consumption? Master walked over and asked. Not long, about 20 minutes. Consumed a lot of soul power. Wang Feng said, It was my attempt, and as I expected. If there is a chance, I will try a martial soul fusion skill with you guys next time. Everyone. Master. Ningrongrong. What? Try a martial soul fusion skill with us? Everyone looked at Wang Feng in astonishment. Let's talk about it when we have time. I don't have much soul power today. Wang Feng looked at everyone and thought, I feel that my martial soul should be able to fuse with yours, and it should have different effects. But it's just a simple idea. No. Ningrongrong blurted out. After she finished speaking, she hurriedly waved her hands and said, Wang Feng, martial soul fusion skills can't be tested casually. Grandmaster said that not every martial soul has such a high degree of compatibility. You still need to complement each other. And anyway, don't try it with others so easily. Captain, I'll give it a try with you another day. Ma Hongjun chuckled. I think what Wang Feng said makes sense. How dare you? Ningrongrong glared at Ma Hongjun. For some reason, when Ningrongrong heard this, she felt as if something she liked had been snatched away. Next time, I'll try it with you first, Zhu Zhuqing said. Big brother Feng, I'll give it a try with you next time. Tang San also laughed. Monster Captain, I think my grilled sausage and your red lotus would be a perfect match. Oscar chuckled. Ahem, I think I can give it a try. Dai Mubai coughed a few times. Hee hee, big brother Feng, I can't miss it either. Xiao Wu said. Hearing this, Ningrongrong looked at each of them and angrily pointed at them. You, I don't have any soul power now. Next time, there'll be a chance. Wang Feng smiled and said, Right now, I can only fuse with Ningrongrong's martial soul. Let me think about it again. Hearing this, Ningrongrong finally felt a lot better. All right, let's go for the next round, Zhu Zhuqing said in a low voice. Next, they began a 2 versus 2 battle. Because Wang Feng had used too much soul power, he didn't try to use martial soul fusion skills again. When he went down with Zhu Zhuqing. Next time, fuse with my martial soul first. Zhu Zhuqing whispered. No problem, the 7 of you will definitely try it in the future, Wang Feng said. Martial soul fusion was not a difficult task for him. Zhu Zhuqing let out an inaudible sound. After that, Shrek's 7 monsters began a 2 versus 2 battle. After Wang Feng and Zhu Zhuqing finished fighting together, because the 2 had more than 10 experience, Wang Feng only needed to say a few simple words on the side or use the remaining soul power to heal Zhu Zhuqing slightly. It would always allow her to defeat opponents above her level. When he was fighting with Ma Hongjun, this fatty was actually a little stronger. It was just that he didn't grasp the timing well. Moreover, when he used Lustful Phoenix and used Phoenix Fireline, he consumed too much soul power. Wang Feng asked him to control his soul power and condense the Phoenix Fireline a little bit to reduce the range. It would be able to last longer against a single enemy. Because the range of the Phoenix Fireline was quite large and it was a long-range attack, the soul power consumption was quite high. But if the range was reduced, the soul power consumption would be reduced. The effect on a single enemy would be more obvious and last longer. Next, Dai Mubai and Oscar were even more relaxed. The rank 37 Dai Mubai, even if he encountered the man with the blue lightning tyrant dragon martial soul just now, he still had the power to fight. With Oscar's grilled sausages, he won easily unless it was a dual control type soul master. After the individual battle, it was the duo battle. Finally, it was the team battle. After a great victory, everyone walked to the team battle lounge while eating Oscar's grilled sausages. Your team battle opponent is called the Wild Battle Team. Now, you guys can discuss the strategy in the team battle lounge. The master said to everyone, Wang Feng isn't a team battle member, so he won't participate. Although Wang Feng didn't have much soul power left, everyone knew that even if he didn't have soul power, as long as he still had sufficient physical strength, he could still defeat the 7 of them with his strong physical fitness. Therefore, if he joined the team battle, they would basically lock in the victory. Wang Feng also nodded. It was indeed impossible for him to join the team battle unless he was a spectator. The commander will be Tang San. Every time we fought with Wang Feng, he was the commander. Plus, he's a control-type soul master, so he's suitable to command from the rear. Dai Mubai made the final decision. Everyone nodded. This was a matter of course. Then later, let's do this, Tang San was about to speak. At this moment, 2 people suddenly walked into the team battle lounge. A man and a woman. The man was as tall and mighty as an iron tower, at least 2 meters tall. The muscles on his body were as dark as rocks and full of strength. In his arms, there was an enchanting woman with heavy makeup nestled in his arms. Together, it gave people a visual impact. As soon as the iron tower-like man walked in, he glanced around and his gaze fell on Zhu Zhuqing, who had the best figure. He swallowed a mouthful of water and laughed strangely. Little girl, your figure is not bad. Why are you covering your face? With such a good figure, if you're ugly, Big Brother doesn't mind. Let me take a look. Get lost. Zhu Zhuqing didn't even look at him. I gave you face, but you don't want it? Do you know who I am? You dare to talk to me like this? The iron tower-like man walked over and waved his hands at Zhu Zhuqing. Seeing this, Dai Mubai's evil eyes flashed with a trace of anger. Although his relationship with Zhu Zhuqing hadn't improved, it hadn't worsened either. But he wouldn't tolerate being insulted like this. At this moment, Dai Mubai was about to make a move, but he was stopped by Wang Feng. This person is from the crazy battle team. He's here to test your strength. Don't make a move rashly. Dai Mubai was stunned. Then, he saw Wang Feng walk forward. Look, scram back home to see your mother. Wang Feng walked forward and scolded. Everyone. You're courting death. The iron tower-like man was stunned. Then, he flew into a rage and slapped Wang Feng. Wang Feng met it with a punch. It's over, everyone, please vote more, end of chapter. Chapter 160. From the looks of their fists, Wang Feng and this big man were like Captain America and the Hulk. But the next moment, when the 2 of them collided with each other, Yi Zichen was stunned. A violent muffled sound, accompanied by the sound of bones dislocating, rang out. The big man's face changed from anger to shock and then to pain. It could be said that he had a unique skill of changing his face. Then, his whole body flew out and landed on the corridor outside the room. Wang Feng stood in place, motionless. The scene was very strange. Wang Feng used some strength in this punch. In the lounge, there was a bit of silence for a moment. The beautiful woman beside the big man looked at Wang Feng with a shocked and ugly expression. After a while, the big man got up and walked into the lounge. He looked at Wang Feng with an ugly expression and then glanced at the 7 people. He was a level 39 soul elder. Even if he didn't use soul power in that punch, it was impossible to send him flying with such a punch. Moreover, the other party didn't use soul power either. Crazy Rhino, have you forgotten the rules of the Great Soul Arena? At this time, a faint voice came. A middle-aged man walked in from outside with a cold expression on his face. Director Ao. The big man's ugly face immediately changed into a smile. I'm sorry, I couldn't hold back today. Don't worry, I know the rules. We can't fight privately. We'll leave immediately. After saying that, the big man stared at Wang Feng and snorted coldly. Little bastards, be careful later. Wear a few more clothes when you go on stage. You can also withstand a beating, so that when you go down later, even your mother won't recognize you. After saying that, he left with the beautiful woman. Little brother, you're very strong. The beautiful woman looked back at Wang Feng and let out a few coquettish giggles. The 2 of them left the team battle lounge. Your manager Ao? Who are these 2 people? Especially that woman, she's really a coquettish vixen. Ning Rongrong walked over and asked the middle-aged man angrily. Manager Ao glanced at them and said indifferently, Shrek's 7 monsters, it's you, right? He's the captain of the Mad Squad, Mad Rhino. He'll be your opponent. All of their members are Soul Exalt. They've only been registered for 7 days, but they've already won 7 matches in a row. Furthermore, their attacks are quite savage. If they don't die, they'll be heavily injured. Good luck to you. Also, private fights are not allowed in the Great Soul Arena. If there is a problem, solve it on the stage. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless next time. Manager Ao scrutinized them for a moment before he turned around and left. Either dead or injured. Why was he so ruthless? When the time comes, don't blame us for being merciless. Dai Mubai's tone was cold. That Mad Rhino isn't simple. Oscar frowned. Wang Feng was right. They're here to test our strength. I'm afraid they're here to provoke us. That Rhino guy looks brainless, but he must be a powerful character. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to lead his team to 7 consecutive victories. Dai Mubai nodded. It's a good thing I didn't make a move just now. That Mad Rhino didn't know how strong I was. Wang Feng walked over and said, This Mad Rhino's strength is not bad. He should be around rank 39. Looking at his size, you should know what kind of soul master he is. Be careful when you go on stage. Rank 39. Tang San muttered a few times. He should be a defense-type soul master. When the fight starts, Mu Bai, Xiao Wu, and Zhu Qing, you 3 will be the main attackers. Mu Bai is both offensive and defensive. Xiao Wu will cooperate with Mu Bai, and Zhu Qing will be on the flank. I'll take the lead to control this Mad Rhino. Fatty will stay behind and use your Phoenix Fire line as a long-range attack. You can also protect Rongrong and Oscar. We'll adjust according to the specific situation. I'm very strong. I don't need protection. Ning Rongrong was a little arrogant, as if she hadn't recovered from the battle just now. But if Big Brother Feng doesn't go on stage, you won't be able to use your soul fusion skills. Tang San glanced at Ning Rongrong. You're still the weakest of us. Ning Rongrong snorted. Of course she knew. Although the team had 8 members, Wang Feng almost never participated in the team battles against the 7 of them. Wang Feng was just a figurehead. Therefore, they were called Shrek's 7 monsters. Before long, the 1-hour break was over. The team battles in the 13th district also came to an end. Finally, it was Shrek's 7 monsters and Mad Rhino's turn. Team Mad Rhino also had 7 members. The first to arrive was the towering man from earlier, their captain, Mad Rhino. Next to him were 2 middle-aged men. They looked somewhat similar, a pair of brothers. Their faces were gloomy, probably because Mad Rhino had gone back and told them about the provocation in the lounge. Following behind him was that extremely flirtatious woman. This woman was wearing very revealing clothes. In Wang Feng's words, she was wearing a short skirt that reached her breasts. She walked like a cat, and when she moved a little, one could see the spring inside. Above her was a tube top, and her proud peaks were incomparably eye-catching. Ma Hongjun swallowed his saliva. As for the others, in terms of appearance, they were very ordinary. Except for Mad Rhino's huge physique and arrogant arrogance, the rest of them were not related to the word mad at all. Before you go on stage, I'll say one more thing. Wang Feng walked in front of Tang San and whispered, "You've seen these people. You may not have the chance to see the strength of this Mad Rhino team today, but you can think for yourself why they're called Mad Rhino Team. Well, I'll say it here. Go. If you can't defeat them in 15 minutes, you'd better not call yourself this monster." Tang San looked at the 7 people thoughtfully. "Have you seen Mad Rhino's matches? Lin Feng, you haven't been to the Great Soul Arena recently, have you?" The master looked at the group of people walking into the Great Soul Arena and asked curiously. He knew that Wang Feng didn't want to come to the Great Soul Arena because of the limitation of soul power. There was no such thing as a leapfrog challenge. But for any soul master below rank 40, for Wang Feng, it was just like a game. Once the second gear was opened and the mysterious Ming armor was hidden, he could almost kill everyone in seconds. Even if he only used the first gear, there were not many people who could play with him. Yes, Wang Feng secretly said. He had seen it in his previous life. The Mad Rhino team was the opponent of Shrek's 7 monsters in the first team battle. Wang Feng still remembered the plot quite clearly. After the battle with me, the strength of the 7 of them is very strong. The Mad Rhino team, who was originally going to lose, should lose even faster. Wang Feng said. The master. By the way, I suddenly remembered something. Wang Feng suddenly thought, Master, can the team only register one person? No. The master's face stiffened, as if he knew what Wang Feng was thinking. If one person can't register, then I'll just pull a few people to register, and then I'll go on stage alone, is that okay? Wang Feng's eyes lit up. Master, what do you think? End of this chapter. Chapter 161. The master looked at Wang Feng in surprise. Are you sure you want to do this? Do you want to defeat a team by yourself? If it's one-on-one, there are very few people who can fight me, unless I challenge someone of a higher rank. Wang Feng thought, but if it's a team, isn't it very interesting? Okay, then I'll help you find 6 people for registration. The master couldn't help but laugh. After registration, these 6 people have nothing to do with you. Just give them some more gold coins. There were too many soul masters in the Great Soul Arena. But most of them wanted to watch. Because those weak soul masters, on the one hand, suffered from no fighting power, but on the other hand, they wanted to watch a wonderful game. It didn't take long for the master to find 6 very trashy soul masters. Most of them were old, and their soul power level was only about the 20th rank. Most of them were in their 30s. What the master promised was that as long as they formed a team, they didn't need to participate in the battle, and then they would get 10 gold soul coins. They naturally wouldn't refuse such a good thing. So they followed Wang Feng to form a new team. What's the name? The master asked. Royal Team. Hearing this, the master frowned. Royal Team? That's a strange name. Why did you choose such a name? To commemorate the lost youth. Wang Feng said. You're a 12-year-old child, what bullshit youth? The master's mouth twitched slightly. What's your code name? The master asked in a low voice. 9-1. Wang Feng said. 9-1? You mean, any team that meets you has only a 10% chance of winning? The master frowned and guessed. No, I mean any team that meets me. I will only give them a 10% chance of winning. Wang Feng laughed. Interesting. The master was slightly stunned, pondered a few words, and felt that the name was really a bit interesting. The establishment of this royal team was just Wang Feng's future idea. In the future, Wang Feng may rarely participate in the Continental Elite competition with Little 3. But if he formed a team, it would be different. Although there were only 7 people, he was the only one fighting. At the same time, the Wild Team and Shrek's 7 monsters also began to fight. In the Great Soul Arena. 7 little bastards. Rhino scowled at the 7 before him. Where's the last one? He didn't come? Naturally, he was referring to Wang Feng, who was exchanging blows with him. This was what Rhino feared the most. Although all 7 of them wore masks, he could still recognize them by their size and the difference in their masks. Humph, you want to fight Big Brother Feng with just the 7 of you? Xiao Wu jumped out and put her hands on her hip. She said disdainfully, Big Brother Feng can beat you all up by himself. Hearing this, Team Ecstasy was instantly enraged. Defeat all of them by himself? Bring out your martial spirit. Rhino let out a furious roar. The 6 people behind him all revealed their martial souls. Most of them were white, yellow, and yellow. The most powerful one was actually that flirtatious young lady with the yellow, and purple combination. At the same time, Tang San and the others also unleashed their martial souls. All of them were yellow, and purple, shocking everyone present. Then, both sides began to fight. Wang Feng watched carefully. The battle was as Wang Feng had expected. However, it was very different from the battles in the original novel. The Shrek's 7 monsters, who had been trained by him for the last month, faced almost no disadvantage in this battle, and they were completely crushed. Under Tang San's command, as soon as the battle began, Tang San deliberately let Ning Rongrong use the assistance of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda, so that the 7 people on the opposite side would all look at Ning Rongrong. With a 30% increase in strength and speed, they had no choice but to focus on Ning Rongrong. Otherwise, it would be too exaggerated if they fought. Then he deliberately put the support in front. This was to lure them in. This was a blatant trap, and they had to step on it even if they didn't want to. Meanwhile, Tang San secretly condensed binding spiderwebs, trapping them one by one. Rhino, who rushed over first, was tied up by Tang San's binding spiderwebs before he could touch Ning Rongrong. Even with his 3rd soul skill, Rhino Change, he forcibly broke through the binding spiderwebs, but he was poisoned and his strength was greatly reduced. Zhu Zhuqing was even more interesting. As an agility-type soul master, she pretended to attack the control-type seductive girl from the side. Stupid. An agility-type soul master actually dares to attack a control-type soul master? The young girl with the spider martial soul looked at Zhu Zhuqing's attack and felt a little amused. Logically speaking, agility-type soul masters were usually responsible for flanking and harassing, or cutting into the last row, and instantly killing support-type soul masters who were used for recovery or amplification. In other words, Zhu Zhuqing's target should be at the back, to give the same amplification to the Wild Team, the Soul Elder with the Rui Plate. Not her, a control-type Soul Master who countered close combat Soul Masters. An agility-type Soul Master who cut into the middle of the team, once controlled, would die. This team is too inexperienced. The seductive girl shook her head. But just as Zhu Zhuqing was about to attack her, she suddenly stopped. Suddenly, Zhu Zhuqing's fingertips moved, and a ray of light shot at the Rui Plate Soul Elder behind her. At this moment, the Rui Plate Soul Master was in the middle of releasing his 2nd soul skill, but his throat hurt and he was abruptly interrupted. The approaching 2-monkey Soul Master didn't even understand what had happened. Tang San had used Ning Rongrong as bait to bind the wild rhino with the spiderwebs. However, the wild rhino wasn't to be trifled with. He directly used his berserk Rhino Change to forcibly break free from the spiderwebs, and his strength increased explosively. But at this moment, Tang San's binding spiderwebs instantly wrapped around the wild rhino. "Little brats, your grandfather's strength has increased greatly, And you couldn't even trap me just now? Now you want to trap me? The wild rhino laughed loudly. But just as he was about to break free of the blue-silver grass, the blue-silver grass burned wildly. It was Fatty's shrunken phoenix fireline that directly hit the blue-silver grass and exploded. The wild rhino didn't even need to break free, and the blue-silver grass was gone. But the instant the blue-silver grass was gone, the wild rhino's entire body burned with Ma Hongjuan's troublesome evil phoenix flames. TSK, I think you should change your name to Roasted Rhino. Fatty laughed mischievously. Our monster captain's method is really useful. Little 3, our soul skill combo is a bit strong. This soul skill combo was a battle strategy that the 7 of them had developed over the past few months as they fought Wang Feng. When their soul skills were combined, they could unleash different effects, using the blue-silver grass to bind the enemy, then using the phoenix fireline to bind the enemy. But in reality, Fatty's flames were the real attack. Tang San and Fatty's soul skills seemed to counter each other, but when used together, they were a huge threat to the enemy. Dai Mubai and Xiao Wu also cooperated. To be more precise, it was Dai Mubai, Xiao Wu, and Tang San who cooperated. Tang San's blue-silver grass wrapped around Xiao Wu, similar to the Meteor Man hammer, and then Dai Mubai's powerful attack was used to send the enemy flying. At this moment, the 2 sheep martial soul members were directly sent flying by Dai Mubai's Vajra White Tiger transformation. End of chapter. Chapter 162. Here it comes. Xiao Wu's eyes lit up. The blue-silver grass at her waist directly threw her over. With an 8-segment throw, she directly used her waist and bow to perform Dai Mubai's flying attack plus Xiao Wu's 8-segment throw. She was directly taken away with a set of Kmobo. Brother Feng's thinking is really too clever. Tang San couldn't help but say. Since the day the 7 of them fought with Wang Feng, they had practiced these soul skills countless times in the past 3 months. On the stage, temporarily losing the enhancement of the Wishful Disc Soul Elder's second soul skill, the captain instantly fell into a desperate situation. A soul master with the goat martial soul also fell under Xiao Wu's 8-segment throw and lost his fighting strength. Almost in the blink of an eye, the battle had just begun and the wild team was in a great predicament. What's going on? As the commander of the control-type soul master, the seductive girl didn't even react. She hadn't even used her control. Why does it seem like we're going to lose? Is this really the first time these people participated in a team battle? Why does this F*King team look more familiar and tacit than our 7-win wild team? What's up with those soul skills? It was almost a crushing result. Twin monkeys, protect the Wishful Disc and let him use his 3rd soul skill. Be careful not to be sneak attacked by this agility-type girl again. The seductive girl shouted. This agility-type girl seemed to be holding her back and preventing her from helping her teammates, but in fact, she didn't attack at all. If she didn't attack at close range, her control wouldn't be effective. However, the other party only dodged while using some unknown object to hit the Wishful Plate Soul Master. She made the Wishful Disc Soul Elder unable to use his soul skill and also held her back. It was simply on the spectator stand. These children, in the past 3 months, their improvement is very obvious. Grandmaster couldn't help but sigh. It's all thanks to you. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so relaxed. It's simply a one-sided crushing. The wild team still has a trump card, right? Wang Feng said. What trump card? Grandmaster's eyes flashed. Wild, it's not just arrogance, it should also be related to soul skills. There's a high probability that it's a type of soul skill that makes everyone go berserk. Wang Feng said. Grandmaster was slightly shocked. If that was the case, then Shrek's 7 monsters would have some pressure. At this moment, the 7 of them indeed felt too relaxed. Almost everyone's cells seemed to be cheering. F***CK. Compared to the Monster King, this wild battle squad was like paper. How could it be so easy? Was this really the wild battle squad? too weak. There was no way he could compare with that monster Captain Wang Feng. Sigh, it seems that I don't need any more grilled sausages. Oscar watched the battle while eating the grilled sausages. I can't make enough grilled sausages when I'm fighting Wang Feng. In every battle, the last grilled sausages will be used up. Now, no one is eating my sausages. How depressing, Oscar muttered. No one actually attacked me. Ning Rongrong pursed her lips. When he was fighting with Wang Feng, she was always the first one to get hit. No matter how Tang San protected her with his blue-silver grass, she would be the first to be beaten. Either her face would be swollen, her incantation would be unclear, she would be slapped unconscious, or she would be beaten into a sandbag by dozens of stones. This directly led to her preparing various dodging methods in the team battle. However, even if Tang San used her as bait, no one could get close to her. The 7 of them were now fighting with the wild battle squad. It was as if they had taken off a few hundred kilograms of weight and ran. They felt incomparably carefree. At this moment, Tang San, as the commander, looked at the Rui Plate Soul Master. At this moment, after the 2 Goat Soul Masters were dealt with by Dai Mubai and Xiao Wu, the 2 of them directly faced the control-type seductive girl head-on. Zhu Zhuqin quickly rushed to the Rui Plate Soul Master, but the opponent's soul skill was still released under the protection of the 2 Monkey Soul Masters. The 3rd soul skill. According to Brother Feng's hint, could it be? Zhuqing, Xiao Wu, Mubai, come back! Several silver lights lit up from the Rui Plate Soul Master and rushed into the wild battle squad. Almost in an instant, everyone in the wild battle squad recovered. The wild rhinoceros, whose skin was scorched, found it difficult to fight. At this moment, a bloody light flashed in his eyes, his whole body turned red, and his strength swallowed a terrifying aura. The rest of them were the same. Their strength increased greatly, and they all fell into a berserk state. Fortunately, Tang San retreated in time and did not fight with these 7 people, so none of them were hurt. Brother, did you predict the 3rd soul skill of the Rui Plate? Xiao Wu threw her scorpion tail braid and said without blushing. What happened just now was almost nothing to them. Not really. Brother Feng reminded me. Tang San said, before the battle, Brother Feng asked me to think about why they are called the Wild Battle Squad. Besides being arrogant, is there anything special about them? So, you thought that they might have a soul skill similar to Berserk Transformation? Ma Hongjun asked in surprise. Tang San nodded. He was very smart and understood it almost immediately, so he was already prepared in his heart. If it was someone else, it might not be so. Then what should we do now? These people may have lost their sense of pain. Plus the buff, it's very difficult to fight them head-on. Dai Mubai frowned and said, how about using my mushroom sausage? Oscar coughed a few times. After 3 months of fighting with Wang Feng, I can already make 14 mushroom sausages. You didn't eat any just now, so I'll give you 2 each. Can last for 2 minutes. This soul skill, although powerful, can't be used for a long time. It was indeed a way. However, Tang San smiled slightly and said, have you forgotten what Brother Feng said? Often, the more powerful the soul skill, the more flaws it has. For example, although my blue-silver grass is strong, it is afraid of fire. As long as we use this point, my role will be very small. Also, do you remember the first time Brother Feng fought with us? How he defeated us? He almost didn't spend any effort, used ourselves, and defeated us. Or to deal with you girls. Have you forgotten about that match? Tang San smiled. In an instant, Zhu Zhuqing, Xiao Wu, and Ning Rongrong lowered their heads in shame. A month ago, there was a match between the 7 of them and Wang Feng. It was very interesting. Wang Feng used one thing to make the 3 girls lose their fighting strength. That was mud. He carried a bucket of mud and poured it on the 3 girls. The 3 of them were covered in mud. They were full of soul power, but they couldn't use any strength. It was too uncomfortable. Although the move was a little despicable, it was very effective, especially against girls. They were all obsessed with beauty, so they were covered in mud. You want them to fight? Sorry, no. Later, Wang Feng specially trained them. He forced them to fight in this uncomfortable situation, and they slowly adapted. End of chapter. Chapter 163. So now we have to use them to defeat themselves. Tang San's eyes flashed. Because they're not conscious now. Only the control-type girl is conscious. When the crowd heard this, they suddenly understood. Falling into a berserk state and not being able to distinguish between friend and foe, although much stronger, was a fatal flaw. So, to defeat them, we only need Tang San and me, Zhu Zhuqing suddenly said. Everyone except Tang San hadn't reacted yet. Tang San smiled and said, Zhuqing, it seems that you've learned a lot from Brother Feng. Indeed, we only need you and me. You're fast enough and my blue-silver grass can help you. Later, you'll attract their attacks and gather them together. Then, let them fight among themselves. Hearing this, everyone was stunned and suddenly understood. Brother Feng said that this is called reverse thinking. Mu Bai, Xiao Wu, Ma Hongjun, the three of you go directly to the girl with the spider martial soul. At this moment, Ning Rongrong suddenly thought of something and said happily, I have a clever idea. Everyone was stunned. Tang San also looked at Ning Rongrong. Wang Feng once taught me a trick. He once said that different soul skills will have different effects when used on different people. Ning Rongrong giggled and said, He taught me that my soul skills amplification is a great help to my teammates. But sometimes, as long as it's used on the enemy under certain circumstances, it can cause double the damage. Everyone was stunned at first, then their eyes lit up. Rongrong, aren't you too smart? Oscar was also very smart. He quickly understood and hurriedly handed Rongrong a mushroom sausage. You want to wait for them to gather together to fight and then increase their strength? While making them stronger, their attacks will be heavier and they will be defeated faster. You're too smart. Here, eat the mushroom sausage. You can't use your soul skill from here. Later, when you're in the air, get closer and use it on them. Everyone also looked at Ning Rongrong in amazement. No one would have thought that Ning Rongrong, the eldest daughter, would come up with such a clever idea. A proud smile appeared on Ning Rongrong's face. She then looked at Wang Feng in the stands and raised her chin. As if to say, look, how smart am I? Wang Feng. In the spectator area. What do you think they plan to do? Grandmaster asked. The safest way to deal with a berserk enemy is to prepare the mushroom intestines in advance and dodge them. But it's also a bad idea. After the effect of the mushroom intestine wears off, they'll still have to face enemies when they come down. Wang Feng smiled faintly. What's the best plan? The master asked with some interest. Best plan? The best strategy is naturally to use the enemy to defeat himself. Wang Feng chuckled. Using Zhuqing's speed and Tang San's blue-silver grass to lure them all together, then they'll fight amongst themselves. As for the rest of them, they'll just have to deal with the control-type Soul Master. Dai Mubai, Xiao Wu, and Ma Hongjun won't be able to deal with a control-type Soul Master? What's more, Ma Hongjun's flame, to a certain extent, can restrain the control of the spider martial soul. After listening to Wang Feng, the master nodded slightly. This method had a certain effect on everyone's tacit understanding, and it could also quickly end the battle. Although the berserk enemy's strength had increased greatly, it wasn't scary at all. Because they weren't clear-headed, they could still instinctively recognize their enemies and teammate. But as long as they were hit by a teammate's attack, then it would be useless. Not long after, the situation in the Great Soul Arena below was just as Wang Feng said. Zhu Zhuqing used her speed advantage and the help of her blue-silver grass to shuttle back and forth among the enemies of the wild battle team. She lured the enemy to attack. After a while, she gathered the remaining 4 Soul Masters, Wild Rhino, Twin Goat, and Twin Monkey. When Rhino's fist connected with his teammate's body, he exploded. At the same time, Ning Rongrong's buff instantly fell on Twin Goat and Twin Monkey. Boom! Then, the 5 people directly began to vomit at each other. With Ning Rongrong's buff, the 5 people's soul skills were extremely powerful, and it didn't take long. When the 5 people just woke up, they all fell to the ground. At this time, the seductive girl couldn't even make Tang San use the 8-bone spider spear, and directly GG. I didn't expect Rongrong to use a buff soul skill on the enemy? Seeing this scene, the master was shocked. Wang Feng was also a little surprised. Although he said those words to Ning Rongrong, he really didn't think of it just now. He didn't expect Ning Rongrong to think of it directly. When did Ning Rongrong become smart? Wang Feng couldn't help but mutter, "Is it because of my influence?" This Shrek's strange battle seems to be quite interesting. At this time, in another spectator area, the Yu Yen duo who fought with Wang Feng before was there. Although there is a difference in soul rings between them and the crazy team, their soul power can offset it. The man said indifferently, so, their actual combat strength should be almost the same. However, this kind of one-sided situation has occurred. I've just asked around. This team has just been established. But from this performance, it's unbelievable. Their coordination of soul skills and the degree of tacit understanding between the members even surpasses ours. The man's voice was very heavy. If we didn't just lose a match and wanted to find out more about this Qing Bao duo, we wouldn't have stayed to continue watching, and we wouldn't have been able to see such an exciting battle. We must be careful of this Shrek's 7 monsters. The man whispered, "I never thought that this soul skill could be used like this, especially at the end. They used the crazy team to defeat themselves. Every member of their team seems to be very experienced. They don't seem like a new team at all. This shows a problem." The woman with dark purple short hair smiled and said. The man looked at the woman, and the two of them looked at each other and said almost in unison, "There must be a super master tactician behind them. He's giving them this kind of training." After saying that, the two of them saw the shock in each other's eyes. The woman whispered, "I don't know who that is. I wonder who it is. Also, did you notice that the girl from the Qing Bao duo is inside? But the man isn't there. Could it be that this man isn't one of their team members? There are only 7 Shrek's 7 monsters. We must be very careful of this Shrek's 7 monsters. We can't let our guard down. Also, we must know who the master tactician behind this Shrek's 7 monsters is. That's the most important thing." The two of them looked at the end of the battle below and slowly left the spectator area. They were Heaven Do Imperial Academy's Yu Tianheng and Duguyen. End of chapter. Chapter 164. Wang Feng probably didn't expect this either. These two people actually stayed to watch the first battle of Shrek's 7 monsters because they wanted to team up with him and Ning Rongrong. Unknowingly, Wang Feng fanned the butterfly's wings. Perhaps the world wouldn't be turned upside down. However, some changes were unavoidable. At this moment, Yu Tianheng and Duguyen, who had just watched this battle, had already begun to view Shrek's 7 monsters as their opponents. If the two teams met in the future, Wang Feng didn't know about this. He didn't expect this to happen. Shrek's biggest enemy should be Heaven Do Imperial Academy, right? Wang Feng rubbed his chin. Heaven Do Imperial Academy is much stronger than them, but they don't know that Shrek's 7 monsters have become stronger. In the original novel, no one fought Shrek's 7 monsters. I think Little 3 and the others should be able to crush them. No one should be injured. Wang Feng vaguely remembered that when Shrek's 7 monsters fought against Heaven Do Imperial Academy, Xiao Wu was injured and Tang San went all out to defeat them. But now, Shrek's 7 monsters were much stronger than they were in the original novel. It could be seen from this battle with Crazy Team. Therefore, they should be able to defeat Heaven Do Imperial Academy easily. But Wang Feng didn't know. Not long after, the group returned to the spectator stands. Hey, this crazy team is too weak. Ma Hongjun pinched his nose. I didn't even use my full strength and they lost. Their soul skills are interesting, but they're still far from being comparable to our monster captain. Yeah, only Rongrong ate a mushroom sausage. Oscar shrugged. I didn't even have the chance to show off my skills as a sausage monopoly. The others couldn't help but laugh. It's all thanks to Big Brother Feng for reminding me that I won so easily. Tang San said modestly. However, after this battle, I feel that after fighting with Big Brother Feng for 3 months, we have indeed improved a lot, and this improvement is something we couldn't feel before. Everyone nodded. To be honest, they were beaten up badly. For the past 3 months, only Tang San wasn't too afraid of the Devil Day. The others wished that time would accelerate and pass by. But now, the 7 of them felt it when they fought against Crazy Team. For the past 3 months, they had been fighting once a week. What a huge improvement it was for them. Wang Feng wasn't on the stage, but in an invisible way, it had given them unimaginable help. Their thinking, fighting style, thinking, and so on were all changing. This change brought about a terrifying crushing effect on the battlefield team. Especially last. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets, using a magical method to defeat the Wild Battle Squad. Most importantly, each and every one of them had played a decisive role in this. Wang Feng could not help but sigh. In the original work, it was as if Tang San and the others had eaten mushroom intestines to stall for time. In the end, they relied on Tang San's 8-spider spear to defeat them. But now, every one of them played the most important role. Tang San's vigilance, using the reverse-thinking tactics taught by Wang Feng, Zhu Zhuqing and Tang San's seduction, Dai Mubai, Xiao Wu, and Ma Hongjuan's entanglement. In the end, Ning Rongrong cleverly reversed the buff. These were the key points that allowed them to achieve such a crushing victory. Wang Feng, wasn't I smart just now? Ning Rongrong raised her head slightly and looked at Wang Feng. Shouldn't you praise me? You're quite smart. Wang Feng nodded. Although he had taught Ning Rongrong these principles, it wasn't easy to use them in a battle. Wang Feng was a little surprised that Ning Rongrong had this idea, but it wasn't too surprising. After all, they were all geniuses. Hearing the praise, Ning Rongrong felt as if her whole body was cheering. This was countless times happier than hearing her father's praise, Uncle Jian's praise, and teachers' encouragement in the sect. You did well. In this battle, your tacit understanding was beyond my imagination. Even I couldn't find any flaws in your soul skills. Grandmaster looked at everyone and smiled. In the past 3 months, you often complained to me that you would only get beaten up when you fought with Wang Feng. But now, what do you think? Everyone lowered their heads in shame. Many of Little Feng's ideas were integrated into the actual battle and achieved better results. In the future, you will face stronger teams. At that time, these things will make you stronger than them. Martial souls and soul skills are nothing, unless you crush them with brute strength. Otherwise, only soul masters who rely on their brains to fight are the most powerful soul masters. Grandmaster looked at everyone again. Today, I saw a surprise in all of you. But more importantly, you gave yourselves a surprise. Everyone was startled. It seems so. This kind of surprise was the kind that they didn't expect to be so strong. All right, children. After a victory, it's necessary to celebrate. At this time, Flender also walked over. He also saw the battle just now and only heard the conversation between Grandmaster and Wang Feng. At this time, his eyes were full of surprise. Let's go and celebrate first. You must thank Wang Feng properly. Wang Feng smiled. Of course. Xiao Wu chuckled and said, Wang Feng, I'll definitely make you drunk later. Our alcohol tolerance is very good. Dai Mubai also smiled. He and Ma Hongjun often flirted, so their alcohol tolerance was not bad. My alcohol tolerance is not good. Tang San smiled. But it should be slightly better than girls. Zhu Zhuqing didn't say anything. My alcohol tolerance is the worst. I've never drunk before, Ning Rongrong whispered. Ha 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 ha, Ning Rongrong, wait to be carried back later. I have the best alcohol tolerance. Ma Hongjun laughed proudly. Wang Feng thought to himself, your alcohol tolerance is the worst among the few of us. They went to the hotel and cheered. After a while, only Ning Rongrong and Wang Feng were still sitting. The others were all lying on the floor. Hey, why are you all lying on the floor? Ning Rongrong looked at everyone and also at Wang Feng. Her beautiful eyes flashed. I can't. Ning Rongrong's alcohol tolerance is too abnormal. I can't drink anymore. Wang Feng couldn't help but complain. In his previous life, his alcohol tolerance was average. In this life, his physical fitness was very strong. However, because he didn't use soul power, everyone didn't drink. That was why he was able to hold on until now. He was barely on par with Ning Rongrong, but he couldn't hold on any longer. More importantly, Ning Rongrong's face was flushed, but her eyes were clear. She didn't seem drunk at all. This may have nothing to do with physical fitness or talent. Physique. Wang Feng glanced at Ning Rongrong and sighed. After that, he drank the last glass and collapsed on the table. They're all drunk. Ning Rongrong looked at Wang Feng. She seemed to have thought of something, and her face turned even redder. Oh, right, no one should be able to find out, right? Ning Rongrong was like a thief, looking around. She tiptoed, afraid of making a sound, and quietly walked to Wang Feng. Tickets. End of chapter. Chapter 165. Ning Rongrong tiptoed in front of Wang Feng and took out a short and thick pencil from her pocket. She took out a short and thick graphite pencil. Hee, beat me up, I'll draw a big turtle on your face. Ning Rongrong took out the graphite pencil and was about to draw on Wang Feng's face. But before the tip of the pencil touched Wang Feng's face, Ning Rongrong suddenly stopped. At this time, her eyes were shining with shyness. Suddenly, Ning Rongrong cried out softly. She seemed to be tripped by something and fell towards Wang Feng. She closed her eyes and her eyelashes trembled. Her moist lips were about to kiss Wang Feng's cheek. Humph, I didn't want to kiss you. I accidentally tripped, Ning Rongrong thought. However, just as she was about to kiss Wang Feng's cheek, she suddenly saw Wang Feng turn his head in another direction as if he encountered something in a dream. Bang! Ning Rongrong's face hit the table. Ning Rongrong. She raised her head and rubbed her red forehead. She glared at Wang Feng. Why did you turn around? No, I want to fall again. Ning Rongrong walked to the other side and pretended to fall. She kissed Wang Feng's cheek. This time, Wang Feng did not turn around. He had indeed fallen asleep. Not only had he fallen asleep, he had fallen into a deep sleep. This was because Wang Feng dreamt that he had returned to Earth in his previous life and was licked by a puppy. When he woke up, it was already the next day. I haven't dreamed for a long time. Wang Feng shook his head and touched his cheek. He was speechless. But to be able to dream of his previous life made Wang Feng feel emotional. In the following days, Shrek's 7 monsters entered Soto Great Soul Battle Arena and engaged in crazy battle training. During the past month, Shrek's 7 monsters had participated in 27 soul battles, and they had crushed all of their opponents in almost every single one of those battles. Once in a while, Wang Feng would go on stage to watch the match. As soon as he went on stage, he took a small bench and sat in the corner. Not many people knew him. In addition, he had only appeared twice. Therefore, the name Shrek's 7 monsters immediately resounded throughout the entire Great Soul Arena. As for Wang Feng, he used another identity, 9-1 Open. There were several team battles. However, Wang Feng had only participated in a few battles occasionally. Although a one-on-one battle was very shocking, the number of times he had participated in it was too few. He had only participated in it about 3 times. On the contrary, he didn't know much. But the name of the Royal Battle Team has some fame in the Great Soul Arena. After all, it was impossible for a one-man team to not attract attention. Kaiju's identity was also very hidden. Except for the masters, even Tang San and the others did not know. Furthermore, the martial soul that Wang Feng had used for registration was not the primal Chaos Green Lotus. It was the Pengu Axe. Of course, he had never used it, and it was impossible for him to use it. It only flashed when he registered. And judging from his martial soul, as long as he didn't use it, it was just a relatively simple axe. As long as he injected soul power into the Pengu Axe martial soul, then it would be an ordinary Pengu Axe. In the only 3 team battles, he only used the first gear or the second gear. The third gear was easy to be noticed, so Wang Feng didn't use it, nor did he intend to use the various forms of the primal Chaos Green Lotus. Wang Feng intended to hide this identity until the Continental Elite Soul Master Tournament. Now it was at most a casual test and lurking. And in the battle record, the one with the best results was naturally Zhu Zhuqing. Her points were high, and the Qingfeng combination with Wang Feng had won all the way, almost losing only one battle. Even in the individual battle, they rarely failed. She was the only one who was about to reach the Silver Warrior Soul. Next was Tang San and Xiao Wu's combination. They also won all the way, with 25 consecutive victories, and their points were very high. The combination of Oscar and Dai Mubai had obtained a good result of 20 wins and 6 losses in 27 matches. This was because, under Wang Feng's training, Oscar had increased the number of sausages he could make. Even if he couldn't win, he could at least drag it out and win. In comparison, Ning Rongrong and Wang Feng's Qingbao combination was really in a winning streak. With their martial soul fusion skill, Ning Rongrong's close combat strength was almost on par with Dai Mubai, and it could be said that she was stronger. Because she was immune to many statuses, she could be called a goddess of war. Ning Rongrong could be said to have the most fun in the past month. However, she was very happy. Most of Wang Feng's soul power would be drained, because Ning Rongrong didn't know many fighting techniques. She only knew how to use simple punches. Therefore, the battles were very long. The martial soul fusion skill consumed Wang Feng's soul power, so it was natural that Wang Feng would be drained. As for Ma Hongjun and Wang Feng's combination, they won most of the time and rarely failed, so their points were also very high. In the individual battle, of course, Tang San's winning rate was the highest, reaching 100%. Next were Dai Mubai, Zhu Zhuqing, Ma Hongjun, and Xiao Wu. It was just a matter of who won one more match or who won one less match. Basically, after the next month, Shrek's 7 monsters should all have a Bronze Warrior Soul, and Zhu Zhuqing should have a Silver Warrior Soul. During this month, Zhu Zhuqing also found Wang Feng, and the two of them also used their martial soul fusion skill. However, it was a fusion with the Red Lotus. This fusion skill was quite interesting. In addition, except for Tang San and Ma Hongjun, the rest of the people's soul power increased by 1 level. Today was the end of the month, and also the weekend. There were many extra people in the Soto Great Soul Arena. Today was also the day when the second phase was about to end. Shrek's 7 monsters would also participate in the last team battle of this month. As the team leader, Master Ao and Wang Feng came together to register Shrek's 7 monsters for the competition. Wang Feng came because he knew that they would be facing the Imperial Battle Team, the ace team of Heaven Do Imperial Academy. It could be said that each of them, except for Tang San, were not inferior to the current Shrek's 7 monsters, or even stronger. On behalf of Soto City's Great Soul Arena, I hope that today's battle of Shrek's 7 monsters will be held in the Great Soul Arena. Manager Ao of the Great Soul Arena said to Master Ao, 3 days ago, a strange team came to the Great Soul Arena. They were all composed of Soul Elders, and all of them had the best soul ring configuration. They were invited by several noble lords of Soto City, which caused our great soul arena to suffer a lot of losses. Hearing this, Wang Feng couldn't help but think, this is AF * King hidden operation. Sending out a trump card battle team to sweep through Soto City, and then placing bets with a new face, the odds would naturally be higher. After playing a game, they directly withdrew. Soul Elders, the best soul ring configuration? Master Ao was slightly startled. The best soul ring configuration was not something that any soul master could afford to play with. So far, Shrek's 7 monsters had fought 27 matches, and except for themselves, no other team had the best soul ring configuration. One could imagine. Yes, they are very strong. Even the crazy battle team was defeated by them. Manager Ao sighed. The support-type soul master of the crazy battle team didn't have time to use his berserk soul skill before he was quickly defeated by the other side. This is a well-trained team of soul elders with tacit understanding. End of this chapter. Chapter 166. The Grandmaster frowned. Although the crazed battle team had lost to Shrek's 7 monsters, they weren't weak. This meant that this battle team wasn't simple. It would be best if they could be used in the second part of the exam. However, the Grandmaster didn't agree. He talked to Manager Ao for a while before agreeing. Everyone received 500 gold soul coins and an additional 10,000 gold soul coins. This was a solid reward. Manager Ao gave the Grandmaster the information on the battle team and hurried off to make arrangements. The Grandmaster's eyes narrowed when he saw the information. Wang Feng glanced at it and thought to himself, this is the Imperial battle team. Every single one of them is a soul elder at least rank 35. They all have silver warrior souls. Blue lightning tyrant dragon, Yu Tianheng Duguyen, and the jade unicorn snake. They should be the Yu Yen team from a month ago, right? Wang Feng seemed to understand something. The Grandmaster and Wang Feng arrived at the resting room where Shrek's 7 monsters were. Wang Feng, let's go to the 2v2 battle today. As soon as Wang Feng walked in, Ning Rongrong pursed her lips and revealed an elegant smile. For the past 30 days, she could only rely on Wang Feng's thigh to increase her score. She was a support type, so she'd be giving away points to others if she participated in the 1v1 battles. Wang Feng waved his hand. You don't need to participate in the 1v1 or 1v1 battles today. You just need to win the 1v1 battle today. The Grandmaster threw the information on the table and said, Lin Feng is right. Little Feng is right. You guys only need to win a team battle today. If you win, you'll get 500 gold soul coins each, and an extra 10,000 gold soul coins. You'll have to study it first. Lin Feng, you'll participate in this battle as well. But if you don't participate, it'll be good for you to see how strong this battle team is. Wang Feng nodded slightly. He had heard of the Imperial battle team. Even though he would participate in the battle as a handyman. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Wang Feng, as the captain of the monsters, had only fought with them twice in the past month. And every time he fought, he would hide in the shadows and watch. He didn't participate in the 1v1 battles of Shrek's 7 monsters either. Now, the Grandmaster wanted Wang Feng to see how strong this battle team was? Was this team's standard very high? When everyone saw the team members' introductions, they all sucked in a cold breath. Team Leader, Yu Tianheng. Martial Soul, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Rank 39, Assault-type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Vice Captain, Duguyen. Martial Soul, Jade Phosphorus Snake. Rank 38, Control-type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Graphite. Martial Soul, Xuanwu Turtle. Rank 38, Defense-type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Grindstone. Martial Soul, Xuanwu Turtle. Rank 37, Defense-type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Imperial Wind. Martial Soul, Windsheam Bird. Rank 36 Agility System Battle Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Oslo, Martial Soul. Ghost Leopard, Rank 36 Agility System Battle Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Yi Lingling. Martial Soul, 9-Hearted Begonia. Rank 35 Auxiliary Type Soul Master. Soul Rings, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Isn't he too strong? Oscar glanced at it. Even the lowest level is higher than us? Yeah, who can withstand this? Fatty Ma took in a deep breath. Our team has 3 Soul Grandmasters over rank 20. Furthermore, isn't this configuration a little too strong? Tang San looked at the team with a serious gaze. Dai Mubai was also silent, especially when he saw the words, Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Little gang, this team. Flender looked at Master with a helpless gaze. Why did you agree so easily? He can't fight Lin Feng, otherwise it would be unfair. I know what you mean. You're afraid that Oscar's sausage won't be able to recover if someone is seriously injured, so you let Lin Feng fight in time, right? But our chances of winning are very low. Flender's words were also the other reason why Master let Wang Feng fight. Master was worried that with this team's configuration, it would be difficult to say whether someone would be seriously injured if they fought. Although Oscar's sausage could recover, it was very slow for serious injuries. Therefore, he let Wang Feng fight to prevent serious injuries. The Master was silent for a moment before he said, at most 40%. Flender, if you have a little confidence in our students, I think 50% is not impossible. Wang Feng rubbed his nose. Why do I think 60% to 70%? Everyone. Wang Feng knew the original story, so he was sure that Shrek's 7 monsters would win this match. In the original story, Imperial Combat underestimated their opponents and didn't know much about Shrek's 7 monsters. Even if they were stronger than Little 3, they couldn't stop Little 3 from using the 8-spider spear to defeat them. Not to mention, Shrek's 7 monsters under his tutelage were even stronger. In the original story, Master thought it was 30%, but now he thought it was 40% or even 50%. This showed that Little 3's team was very strong. Wang Feng's 60% was a conservative estimate. If he wanted to say 100%, Big Brother Feng, you think too highly of us? Xiao Wu pointed at the information. I'm confident, but 60% to 70%. It's the 9-Hearted Begonia. Ning Rongrong was surprised. Master, we need to pay attention to this auxiliary type Soul Master. Why? Master was startled. Because the 9-Hearted Begonia is a very powerful healing type Soul Master. Ning Rongrong's tone was serious. Dad said that among auxiliary type souls, the 9-Hearted Begonia is a miracle. It is passed down to only one person in each generation. Only when the owner dies will it appear in the next successor. Its effect is very simple. It heals everyone. The higher the rank, the better the healing effect. With a soul master like her, we won't be able to harm any of them unless we exhaust her soul power first. Wang Feng couldn't help but think. In the original story, the Imperial Combat Academy's team was injured. Even Yi Lingling, who had the 9-Hearted Begonia, didn't have any heaven-defying effects. Especially Captain Yu Tianheng, who was heavily injured in the original story. To put it simply, the recovery effect wasn't obvious. Only when one reached a very high rank would there be an obvious effect. Or, simple recovery wasn't very powerful. Unless one could also recover soul power, which was mana, no matter how good the recovery was, they couldn't win without soul power. The 9-Hearted Begonia can't be underestimated. But the others aren't simple either. A month ago, Master told us about the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. Dai Mubai whispered, it's known as the continent's strongest attack-type Soul Master. It's as famous as my evil-eyed white tiger, but the black tortoise is also famous. Master nodded. Mubai is right. These two souls are very powerful. At the same time, we have to be careful of Duguyen, the owner of the Jade Unicorn Snake. Jade Unicorn Snake. Is her specialty poison? Tang San asked. Master nodded. Tang San's eyes flashed. As a member of the Tang sect, he was no stranger to poison, although he hadn't studied it since he came to this world. End of chapter. Chapter 167. This is a team that is no worse than yours. The master said in a deep voice, even better. However, everyone's morale was not low. So what? Tang San's voice was loud. Brother Feng said that whether it is a team battle or an individual battle, sometimes momentum and state are more important. We have won 27 games in a row, and our momentum is strong. Everyone's condition was also very good, although their configuration was good. Their soul power is higher than ours, but we may have a chance. That's right, Master, we have won so many games. Xiao Wu also laughed. I'm not afraid. Although the nine-hearted begonia is very powerful, I won't give them my 7 treasures glazed pagoda, and Oscar's grilled sausage also has a healing effect. Ning Rongrong nodded. They only have one auxiliary-type soul master, and no amplification-type soul master. Also, although third brother is a control-type soul master, he also has very strong close combat strength, equivalent to an assault-type soul master. Ning Rongrong said charmingly, in other words, we actually have one more person than them. What the hell is one more person? Wang Feng couldn't help but curse. Because Little Three had the Tang sect's martial skills, he could indeed be regarded as an assault-type soul master, but his clear sky hammer martial soul was unlikely to be used. There was still a gap between him and a real soul master. However, Ning Rongrong's logic was really not wrong. Everyone was dumbfounded by what he said. It seems to make sense. Ma Hongjun pinched his chin and looked at Oscar. You, Oscar, have recovery and healing abilities, and you also have the ability to fly and detoxify. Isn't it equivalent to us having 2 auxiliary-type soul masters? 10 against 7. So what if their soul power is high? Wang Feng. Everyone. Wang Feng shrugged. No matter what they thought, it was impossible to lose this battle. Moreover, the Imperial battle team would not pay much attention to Shrek's 7 monsters. When the battle started, Little Three would definitely take it seriously. Even if it was a little dangerous, victory was only a matter of time. And just as Wang Feng and the 7 people were discussing Great Soul Arena VIP Lounge, this Shrek's 7 monsters is not simple. I strongly emphasize that you must not let your guard down. As the captain, Yu Tianheng looked at his team members and said in a deep voice, Yu Feng, O Luo, you two can't be underestimated. Yu Feng was an exceptionally handsome man. He had short blonde hair and an exquisite face that was comparable to a woman's. Oslo was a young man dressed in black. In the distance stood Shurimo and Shurimo, 2 brothers who possessed the black tortoise martial soul. In front of the floor-to-ceiling window, there was a woman with long blue hair and a veil over her face. Her eyes seemed a little hollow, and her back seemed a little lonely. It was Yi Lingling, who possessed the 9-hearted begonia martial soul. Boss, the Shrek's 7 monsters only have bronze warrior souls, and there are soul masters over rank 20? Yu Feng couldn't help but laugh. There's even a trashy martial soul like the blue silvergrass. Is it worth it for us to treat it this way? On the table was information about the Shrek's 7 monsters. But Yu Tianheng slammed his hands on the expensive carved wooden table, causing cracks to appear. I've already said that we can't underestimate him. He needed to use all his strength. Their combination is extremely powerful. The cooperation between the 7 of them isn't inferior to ours. Other than their soul power being lower than ours, they aren't inferior to us in any other aspect. This incomparably majestic slap caused all the team members in the room to look at him. Even Yi Lingling was no exception. It was unknown how Wang Feng would feel if he saw this scene. Also, the leader, Qin Ming, came from the Shrek Academy. Have you all forgotten? The Shrek's 7 monsters are this generation's students. Yu Tianheng's tone softened slightly as he continued. Also, they have an ultimate tactician as their guide. At this moment, they might already be analyzing the information of our team members. Hearing that Qin Ming was the leader, their expressions changed slightly. Only then did they remember that teacher Qin Ming seemed to have come from the Shrek Academy. Also, how's your practice of the soul skill combo that I asked you to practice these days? Yu Tianheng said indifferently. The few of them nodded hurriedly. Very good. When I saw the battle between the Shrek's 7 monsters and the Crazy Squad that day, it gave me a lot of inspiration. Yu Tianheng said. After returning, I told leader Qin Ming. He is very smart. He asked us to try to practice the soul skill combo of each team member. This way we can achieve a stronger effect. Perhaps we are not as proficient as them, but our soul power is high enough. We won't be inferior. If Wang Feng was here, his face would probably be full of black lines. Let's talk about one more thing. At this time, the woman in Yu Tianheng's arms smiled charmingly. In order to prevent that accident, leader Qin Ming will temporarily join the team under an alias and enter the Great Soul Arena. However, he won't participate in the battle. You don't have to be surprised when the time comes. Accident? Yi Lingling frowned slightly. What accident will make leader Qin Ming temporarily join and even enter the arena personally? Yu Tianheng and Duguyen looked at each other. Then, he told her about his battle with the Qing Bao combination. After he finished speaking, everyone was shocked. Boss, you were defeated with one punch? Esro was shocked, and one of the women in the Qing Bao combination is Ning Rongrong, the owner of the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda in the Shrek's 7 Monsters. Are you worried that the other man in this combination will hide in the Shrek 7 Monsters? So you want Qin Ming to lead the team? Yu Tianheng and Duguyen nodded slowly. At this time, the Great Soul Arena outside lit up slightly, as if summoning everyone. Let's go, let's go. At this time, a middle-aged man walked in from outside the room and said indifferently, Remember, don't hold back in this battle. But remember, don't kill. I just asked about the 27 battles of the Shrek's 7 monsters. Not only did they win all of them, but they also won by a landslide. If it were you, do you think you can do it? This man was naturally Qin Ming. Teacher, Captain has already told us just now. We will definitely do our best. Yu Feng replied solemnly. Qin Ming was stunned, then he smiled and nodded slowly. Although I will also go on stage, I will only join the team temporarily and will not participate in the battle, unless there is really an accident like what Tianheng said. Everyone nodded solemnly, then led by Yu Tianheng, walked to the center of the Great Soul Arena. Qin Ming looked at this group of people and felt a little emotional. He thought to himself, could the master tactician that Tianheng mentioned be you? Master? I didn't expect your research on martial soul skills to have reached such a level. Tianheng suffered a setback a month ago, and now he is taking it seriously and seriously. They have really grown. I hope that you Shrek's 7 monsters can also have a wonderful performance. End of chapter. Chapter 168. At the same time, Shrek's 7 monsters, led by Dai Mubai, walked into the center of the Great Soul Arena. The center of the Great Soul Arena was very quiet compared to the Great Soul Arena outside, because all the nobles in the audience area were watching. The stage area was also very large, and the dazzling golden soul tools in the air illuminated the entire Great Soul Arena. At this time, a pillar slowly rose from the center of the Great Soul Arena. There was a beautiful lady standing on a pillar. She was holding a voice-amplifying soul tool that resembled a microphone in her hand. Her pretty face revealed an enchanting and professional smile. I am the host, Dodo. I am very happy to host this great Soul Arena competition for all the distinguished guests. Today we will arrange a team battle, the highlight of the competition, and only this one. And now, the team walking out from my left, although they only have silver soul badges, every one of them is a soul elder. Every one of them is a genius soul master. Next, I will introduce the members of this Imperial battle team. In the air, the beautiful commentator, who called herself Douluo, used a clear and crisp voice to introduce the members of the Imperial battle team. A total of 8 people slowly stood in the Great Soul Arena. The last person, Qin Ming, wore a mask and a black robe, was silent. After entering the arena, he slightly leaned back and walked to the corner. And walking out from my right is the star battle team of our Great Soul Arena, Shrek's 7 monsters, who have been in the limelight recently. They are. Douluo continued to explain Shrek's 7 monsters, followed by Wang Feng. After speaking, a pair of wings lit up behind her, and she slowly took off. It was her martial soul. At the same time, 3 soul rings also symbolized that this host, Douluo, was a soul elder. Well, the explanation is here. Next, please let us give today's stage to the 2 teams. In the Great Soul Arena. Almost at the moment when the 2 teams entered, countless gazes were cast from the VIP area. The 2 teams were very recognizable, the 7 members of the Imperial battle team and the 7 members of the Shrek battle team. As for the other 2, few people cared about them. It was almost instantaneous. 14 lines of sight from the 2 battle teams seemed to have transformed into 14 streaks of lightning, interweaving in the air, vaguely letting out long and clear echoes. In the audience, "Limitless, you are that person. Could it be him?" Flender looked at the last black-robed, masked man from the Imperial battle team. "Him? Are you talking about Qin Ming? Why is he in this battle team? With his strength, he should at least be the leader, right?" Zhao Wuji looked at the Great Soul Arena. "What are you talking about?" The master walked over and asked. "He's a student from Shrek Academy. He's already graduated. I think he's in the Imperial battle team too, but he doesn't look like a member. Like Lin Feng, he's probably a temporary addition." Flender frowned. Grandmaster was silent for a moment, then said, "Maybe it's to prevent Lin Feng. After all, Yu Heng had suffered a setback that day, and he knew about Rongrong. I'm afraid that this battle will be a tough one. Maybe Yu Heng didn't leave the Great Soul Arena that day. He might have seen the battle between Shrek's 7 monsters and the crazy battle squad and secretly paid attention to it. Lin Feng's punch may have hurt this child a little," Flender nodded. He knew that Yu Tianheng of the Imperial battle team was Grandmaster's nephew. At this time, Baido, who was flying in the air, suddenly said, "Attention, both teams. Now you have 1 minute to summon your martial soul. When I announce the start of the battle, you can attack until both sides admit defeat, or both arrive, or fall off the Great Soul Arena." His voice fell. The arena suddenly lit up with all kinds of lights, all of which were the best soul ring configurations. Even many of the nobles in the VIP area were quite excited. With Tang San as the leader, the other 6 people were assigned to various positions. Among them, Tang San grew a strand of blue-silver grass behind him, forming a forest-like terrain on the ground on their side. 6 strands of blue-silver grass quietly wrapped around the 6 people's waists. On the Imperial battle team's side. "Interesting," Duguyen whispered with a smile. "Generally speaking, blue-silver grass is a trash martial soul. But since it's Shrek's 7 monsters, this control-type soul master named Tang San should be their commander. His blue-silver grass should be extraordinarily tough." She stood behind Yu Tianheng, and a big dark green snake lit up behind her, swallowing and spitting out a breathtaking light. It was her martial soul, Jade Unicorn Snake. At this time, the upper body was human, and the lower body was snake. It was very strange. He used blue-silver grass to wrap 6 people, probably to perform simple control in the battle later. Qianheng, you have to be careful. However, this kind of control requires multitasking, and it's easy to be distracted. Do this later. Yu Tianheng stood in the center, and the two Shi brothers with black tortoise martial souls stood on either side. A yellow light formed a huge tortoise shell on their bodies, covered with all kinds of veined patterns, and in the center was a mysterious symbol. As the team leader, Yu Tianheng was even more domineering after being possessed by his martial soul. The clothes on his right arm burst open, and it was covered with bluish-purple scales that flickered with traces of lightning. His hand also turned into the claws that Ning Rongrong saw that day, which were at least twice the size of an ordinary person's palm. 3 soul rings also rose from his dragon claws. Oslo's ghost leopard martial soul gave him a more feminine feeling. His pupils also turned into the pupils of a leopard, and they were vertical. On the other hand, Yu Feng changed greatly. A pair of wings grew out of his back, and they were more solid than Do's white pigeon wings. At this moment, he was looking at Shrek's 7 monsters in the distance with a serious expression. His eyes scanned Oscar and Ning Rongrong. With a flying-type beast soul, his best target was naturally the 2 support-type soul masters in the back row of the opposing team. Yi Lingling was at the back of the line, and she was surrounded by 6 people, so Shrek's team couldn't see her clearly. Tianheng, is that person him? At this moment, Duguyen looked at the corner of the soul dueling stage and saw Wang Feng in Saul's disguise. Yu Tianheng's pupils shrank. I don't think so. He's dressed differently, but it's possible. Wang Feng from the Qing Bao combination was disguised as the team leader of the monsters, so the two didn't recognize him, but they had some guesses in their hearts. At the same time, Wang Feng was also looking at Yu Tianheng's team. As soon as he saw them, he had a bad feeling in his heart. Damn, it's a little strange. Why do the members of the Imperial Battle Team look so serious? Wang Feng was astonished. He remembered that in the original story, the Imperial Battle Team looked down on Shrek's 7 monsters, especially Tang San's blue-silver grass and the 3 over rank 20. Yu Feng should be the cross-dressing by Qinxiang, right? Wang Feng faintly felt that something was wrong. Wait, is the Imperial Battle Team serious? This doesn't make sense. Is it because I fought with Yu Tianheng and Duguyen a month ago? If the Imperial Battle Team is serious, I'm afraid Little 3 and the others won't be easy to deal with. End of chapter. Chapter 169. After all, the gap in soul power was too big. If the Imperial Battle Team was serious, Little San's team would be much stronger than in the original work. But there was still a certain amount of danger. Also, who is that person? Wang Feng looked at Qin Ming's figure in bewilderment. Could it be that he's the same as me, here to watch the battle as a safeguard? It seems that this battle is a little different from what I imagined, Wang Feng muttered. It was more than different. At the same time, in the air, there was a clear voice from Dodo. Begin. But as it began, no one from the 2 teams made the first move. It was as if they were waiting for the other to make the first move. Shrek's 7 monsters. They don't seem to plan to make a move? Ma Hongjun whispered. At this moment, the dark green snake that Duguyen had transformed into suddenly let out a roar and took the lead to spit out a monstrous purple mist towards Shrek's 7 monsters. The purple soul ring on her body lit up directly. Jade Qilin purple poison. The terrifying green mist suddenly overflowed the entire arena. Wang Feng's eyes widened in the corner. Wait, they're using such a big move right from the start? The rhythm is not right. Wang Fengxin broke out in cold sweat. What's going on? It's completely different from what I expected. You should at least let the assault-type soul master fight first, right? However, from a tactical point of view, using the Jade Qilin purple poison to lay a layer of poisonous mist on the field was indeed a very clever move. But isn't this a little too serious? At the same time, Tang San's team was also startled. Be careful, this mist is highly poisonous. Tang San's face darkened. Strange, why are they using a 1,000-year soul skill right from the start? Could it be that they're taking it so seriously? Little San, what should we do now? Dai Mubai whispered, with this poison, we can't rush over. Don't worry, I'm prepared. Tang San took out several water bags and sprayed them directly into the distance. Fatty Phoenix Fireline, Mubai, White Tiger Fierce Light Wave, aim at these water bags. It should be able to break this poisonous mist. Tang San said slowly. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun didn't hesitate. Looking at the water skin in midair, they immediately used their soul skills. In an instant, clouds of mist exploded in the air, followed by raging flames. When the flames landed on the poisonous fog, a thunderous sound was heard. Then, the poisonous fog dissipated. There's strong liquor in the water bag. If we use Fatty's flame to burn the liquor, we can burn it all away. The liquor contains realgar, which is also effective against snake venom. Tang San simply said that these things had been prepared a long time ago. However, before the competition, Big Brother Feng had told him that there was an even more ingenious way to avoid the Jade Qilin purple poison. However, Tang San did not intend to use this method. As the purple mist was broken, Huang Dozhan was shocked. These are indeed powerful. Duguyen coldly snorted, you can actually use this method to break my Jade Qilin purple poison. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. As soon as she finished speaking, she spat out a red poisonous mist and a blue poisonous mist towards Yu Tianheng. Almost instantly, Yu Tianheng disappeared from his original spot. In the eyes of Shrek and the others, the moment the purple mist disappeared, a bluish-purple aurora suddenly rushed over from afar. Be careful, it's their captain. Tang San said in a low voice, Mubai, don't worry about him. Go find the Shi brothers. Let him come over. Zhu Qing, Xiao Wu, go entangle those two agility-type soul masters and feign an attack. Remember, you just have to make Yu Tianheng come towards me alone. Rongrong, pretend to go forward and enhance the three of them. Go forward a little and lure him in. Yu Tianheng has the blue lightning tyrant dragon and has the strongest attack power. He'll definitely want to break through our formation and eliminate me directly because he knows that I'm a control-type soul master and a commander. As long as he comes over, Mubai, Xiao Wu, Zhu Qing, withdraw and kill him. Dai Mubai's expression turned serious as he rushed towards the lightning figure. As soon as Tang San finished speaking, several people split up and rushed towards the Huangdo Academy. Not long later, Yu Tianheng rushed out from the dissipating purple mist and attacked Tang San directly. The situation is not good. Seeing Yu Tianheng slowly advancing alone, Wang Feng furrowed his brows. He had sensed very clearly just now that these people were extremely cautious and serious. Why would Yu Tianheng choose to advance alone like in the original story? There's a trap. Xiao San, be careful. Almost as soon as Dai Mubai rushed in front of the Shi brothers, Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing also attacked Yu Feng and Iso. Just as Yu Tianheng was about to reach Tang San, he suddenly jumped and waved his dragon claws in midair as if he was going to attack Tang San. His entire body was surrounded by bluish-purple lightning, and he was in a very strange state. Tang San did not move. He was already in position with the ghost shadow perplexing track, waiting for the other party to attack so that he could dodge. But at this moment, Yu Tianheng suddenly changed his form. His dragon claws did not attack Tang San, but the few strands of blue-silver grass in midair. Poochie poochie. A few cracking sounds could be heard all of a sudden. Seeing this, Tang San's pupils constricted. The 6 strands of blue-silver grass that he secretly wrapped around the 6 people were used to support them. With his superb reaction, he could help his teammates avoid fatal attacks in time. Generally speaking, the enemy would not notice it. But he did not expect Yu Tianheng to directly cut off 3 strands of blue-silver grass. He lost control of Mu Bai, Xiao Wu, and Zhu Qing. Wasn't he too cautious? But in the next moment, something that shocked Tang San even more happened. Yu Tianheng did not attack Tang San, but directly attacked Dai Mu Bai. Damn! Tang San's heart jumped. First, he cut off the blue-silver grass, then turned around and attacked Dai Mu Bai? He could not help but curse in his heart. Was he trying to encircle Mu Bai? Bind! Tang San shouted. Countless strands of blue-silver grass grew out from the stage and surrounded Yu Tianheng. But strangely, Yu Tianheng's body flickered with lightning as he used his body to shatter all the strands of blue-silver grass. He's not in the right state. Tang San's brain lit up. Wait, did he use a 1,000-year soul skill when Duguyan released the Jadakiran purple poison? His current state. Otherwise, how could he be so exaggerated and ignore my blue-silver grass? Mu Bai is in danger. Tang San's face darkened. The Imperial Dou battle team's caution and strategy were unexpectedly strong. It was completely beyond Tang San's imagination. Only Wang Feng thought to himself. It's Yu Tianheng's third soul skill, Dragon's Fury. In a berserk state, he used the Jadakiran purple poison to divert their attention while Tang San was dispelling the poison. Then he quietly used his ultimate. Fuck, did they all use their ultimate? The Imperial Dou Academy is too cautious. It doesn't make sense. How can this be? Wang Feng was perplexed, because this was too different from what he imagined the Imperial Dou Academy to be. Could it be that among them there are transmigrators like me? Do they know everything? Wang Feng could not help but think. He did not know that the Imperial Dou Academy was so cautious because of him. This match was getting more and more confusing. End of chapter. Chapter 170. Wang Feng found it even more interesting to watch this confusing battle. Novel. Because he had read the original novel, Wang Feng wasn't too interested in this battle. But now it was different. Looking at Huang Dou's stance, it seems like they have a strategy. Wang Feng pinched his chin. And the strategy isn't bad. I wonder who taught it to them. In any team battle, there was a real strategy. Huang Dou's strategy was to use Duguyan's Jade Qilin purple poison to cover the vision of Shrek's 7 monsters. On the surface, it was to control the situation. In reality, it was to prevent Yu Tianheng from using his third soul skill. After all, Tang San and the others were focused on dealing with the purple poison. Only after exchanging a few blows did Tang San realize this. Mu Bai, be careful. Leave the battlefield. Also, activate your Vajra White Tiger transformation. Don't hesitate. Tang San shouted. As he activated his blue-silver grass, he wanted to help Dai Mu Bai hold back the two Shi brothers with the Xuanwu tortoise martial soul. At the same time, he went forward to provide support to prevent Dai Mu Bai from being surrounded. At this moment, Dai Mu Bai was surrounded by the Shi brothers on both sides. As for Yu Feng and He Bao, who were pretending to be in a fierce battle with Xiao Wu and Zhu Qing, after seeing Yu Tianheng's actions, they instantly left the battle. They directly pounced towards Dai Mu Bai. Xiao Wu and Zhu Qing, from Tang San's words earlier, relied on the tacit understanding between team members and naturally reacted. They immediately rushed towards Dai Mu Bai to rescue him. They wanted to prevent Dai Mu Bai from being surrounded by Yu Tianheng's group of 5. But their speed was still slower than Yu Feng and He Panther. Even if they were only pretending to attack and were prepared to leave, they still couldn't compare to them. Their soul power was too great. He Panther Oslo was 8 ranks lower than Zhu Qing. Vajra White Tiger transformation. Dai Mu Bai's body swelled up. When he heard Tang San's words, he left without hesitation. The two brothers, Stone Mill and Graphite, stood behind Dai Mu Bai, their earthen yellow tortoiseshell glowing with a strange light. Fortunately, their blue-silver grass wrapped around them in time to hold them down. Give Dai Mu Bai a chance to catch his breath. However, Imperial Wind and Black Panther Oslo had also arrived. Wing Blade. Yufeng did not approach Dai Mubai. Instead, he suddenly turned around and released a series of feather blades that seemed to be able to cut through rocks at Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing. The two of them were shocked. Fortunately, they reacted quickly and dodged. But just like that, he was a beat slower. At the same time, Yufeng grabbed Iso's shoulder and pulled him into the air. Then, he spun his wings violently and threw Iso towards Dai Mubai. At the same time, he flapped his wings rapidly and created two violent gusts of air. These gusts of air weren't strong, but they hit Iso's body. Iso swooped down from the air like a hunting black panther. His claws glinted coldly as he charged towards Dai Mubai. He was like a diving fighter jet. Seeing this, Dai Mubai knew that he couldn't escape Iso's attack with his speed. However, he wasn't afraid. Iso was an agility type. In his current state, his soul power wasn't inferior to his opponent's. He could almost kill him in one move. However, just as Dai Mubai was accumulating his power, Iso's rings suddenly changed. Oslo's soul rings flashed as he accelerated through the air, and suddenly, there were two of them. This sudden change shocked Dai Mubai. At this critical moment, it was hard to tell who was real and who was fake. Their coordination and soul skill combo, why are they so similar to us? Dai Mubai broke out in cold sweat. He didn't panic and directly used his White Tiger's fierce light wave on one of the figures. Although it was accelerated by the air, his Black Panther wasn't Imperial Wind. It didn't have any chance of dodging as it swooped down from the air. At the very least, he could get rid of one of the doppelgangers. A 50% chance. Dai Mubai's luck wasn't bad. He hit the real body of the Black Panther. He had broken the twos combo. The Black Panther was hit by the White Tiger's fierce light wave and was caught by Imperial Wind. However, he didn't seem to have used a soul skill. He didn't suffer any serious injuries, only some abrasions. The Black Panther was injured, and the other doppelganger was hit by Ma Hongjuan's Phoenix Fireline. Sparks flew, and Dai Mubai dispelled this attack. Seeing this, Dai Mubai heaved a sigh of relief. Even if the doppelganger didn't have much strength, it would still be a hindrance. However, just as Dai Mubai heaved a sigh of relief, an extremely dangerous feeling suddenly came from behind Dai Mubai. Without a second thought, he threw a punch behind him with his tiger paw. Boom! A terrifying force exploded between the two's fists and claws. Purplish-blue lightning passed through Yu Tianheng's dragon claws and directly hit Dai Mubai's body. It made him feel numb. Unstoppable thunderbolt. White Tiger's shield. Almost at the same time, the two let out a roar. Boom! Following which, Dai Mubai spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. His opponent was rank 39 after all. He was also poisoned by Duguyan's Jadakiran red poison and blue poison, which could increase a person's attack and defense speed by 20%. At this moment, Yu Tianheng didn't seem to have consumed any energy. He was in peak condition and was already prepared. On the other hand, Dai Mubai rushed to meet the battle. Although he had activated the White Tiger's Vajra transformation, his soul power was still slightly inferior to Yu Tianheng's. However, Yu Tianheng suddenly groaned. He looked at the dragon claws in his hands and saw that there were many spikes that pierced into his claws. Waves of energy that made one feel weak came from these spikes. There's poison. Yu Tianheng was shocked. There's poison on Dai Mubai's tiger claws? This poison was what Dai Mubai had learned from Wang Feng. He had secretly hidden blue-silver grass spikes in his palms and wrapped them with soul power. During battle, the enemy wouldn't be able to detect it, and then, although it was very sinister, it was very effective. However, the effect could only be used once. It would be hard to find the next time. Yu Tianheng's face sank. They were already so cautious and could be said to be in an all-out state. He didn't expect that they would still be poisoned. Although the poison wasn't serious to him, If the battle continued for a long time, it would speed up his soul power consumption. At this moment, the blue-silver grass wrapped around him from behind. Yu Tianheng didn't hesitate and directly jumped behind the graphite stone mill brothers and deactivated Dragon's Fury. Ling-ling! Yu Tianheng yelled. Since he had to be cautious, he couldn't let himself lose even a little bit of blood. This is Ghost Soaring's poison. It's not easy to detoxify. Ling-ling's healing doesn't have the effect of detoxifying it. It can only slow down your injuries. Fortunately, the wounds aren't big. Duguyen looked at the scratches on Yu Tianheng's palm and said, "Didn't you break through the blue-silver grass? How did you get poisoned?" "There's poison on Dai Mubai's tiger claws." Yu Tianheng shook his head. "You have to be careful. It's too sinister to fight them in close combat. However, that Dai Mubai took a hit from my full-strength palm. His injuries are more serious than mine. Graphite, you guys pin down that Tang San and the two girls. Yu Feng, that fatty has the evil fire phoenix. Your martial soul is somewhat restrained. You take the Black Panther and attack the two of them. Use the same strategy again. That Oscar's sausage, although it has the ability to fly, it's only an auxiliary-type soul master. If they want to save Dai Mubai, there will be no one behind them." End of chapter. Chapter 171. After he finished speaking, Yu Feng brought along Hey Panther, and as if they were one, they rushed towards Oscar and the others at the back. At the same time, Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing had just arrived at Dai Mubai's side. The two of them used their third soul skill. Their tortoiseshell exploded. Their tortoiseshell instantly split into dozens of small tortoiseshell pieces that rotated within a 10-meter radius like a spinning top. The tortoiseshell blades emitted a yellow glow. This type of soul skill that was both offensive and defensive was extremely powerful. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing did not dare to take it head-on. Xiao Wu directly used her charm to slow down their forward momentum. Then, she and Zhu Zhuqing quickly went to the back to protect them. Only Tang San arrived and stood in front of Dai Mubai to face the two of them. "We are completely suppressed." Tang San's heart turned cold. In this battle, they were completely suppressed. And the reason for this suppression was actually very simple. It was the most fundamental difference in soul power. The opponent's goal was very clear. The difference in soul power between the two teams was huge. As long as they came up, they would use powerful soul skills, and you would not be able to resist. For example, Duguyen used the Jade Qilin purple poison and Yu Tianheng used Dragon's Fury. His blue-silver grass did not even have the slightest chance to bind them and prevent them from returning. They dared to use soul skills that consumed huge amounts of soul power because their soul power was higher than his. They had the capital to use it like that. All of their tactics were based on this foundation. Otherwise, if they had the same soul power, Dai Mubai would not have been injured just now. His blue-silver grass would definitely have been able to bind Yu Tianheng, even if it was for a few seconds. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing would also be able to arrive in time and not be suppressed by Yu Feng and Osiro. They are too cautious. They are purely using the difference in soul power to suppress them. This is the safest and most reliable method. Tang San's heart turned cold. If not for Brother Feng's training, we might have been defeated. This is using strength to break skill. To the side, Wang Feng sighed. This Imperial battle team is not simple. They can think of such a direct and violent method. All of their tactics are built around this core point. My soul power is stronger than yours, more than yours, and more durable than yours. Aside from Dai Mubai, the difference in soul power between the 7 members of both sides was very large. Others dared to use their ultimate without any fear. Would you dare to do so? Dai Mubai dared to do so, but the others didn't. Furthermore, there were 3 people who didn't have a 1,000-year soul skill to use. If you asked Tang San to directly use the spiderweb binding at the beginning of the game, Tang San would have to be out of his mind. This was because others could release 4 or 5 of these 1,000-year soul skills, while he could only release 3. This was the difference between them. Dai Mubai is injured. The key to breaking this stalemate should be Xiao San's 8 spider spear. If we can catch them off guard, but if they choose to dodge, then the 8 spider spear will not be able to kill them. The Imperial battle team should have 2 or 3 people left. Wang Feng looked behind him. At this moment, Yu Feng brought along Hey Panther, just like how he dealt with Dai Mubai. He sent Hey Panther directly to where Ning Rongrong and Oscar were. The Black Panther used his soul skill again, Doppelganger. 2 doppelgangers attacked Ning Rongrong and Oscar. Damn, which one should I hit? Ma Hongjun didn't care so much now. He used his Phoenix Fireline to attack one of them. However, this time, Ma Hongjun wasn't as lucky as Dai Mubai. He only hit the doppelganger. The real body landed on the ground steadily. At the same time, Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuqing, who had eaten the 2 mushroom sausages that Oscar made earlier, rushed over as quickly as possible. She had no choice but to eat them, and a pair of transparent wings appeared on her back. Teleport. Xiao Wu even teleported in front of Yu Feng to protect Ning Rongrong and Oscar. However, what awaited her was a wing blade. However, this time, the wing blade didn't fly towards Xiao Wu. Instead, it stopped in mid-air. Rising winds and surging clouds, Yu Feng said. His 1,000-year soul ring shone brightly. The pair of wings on his back suddenly flapped, emitting gusts of wind that were even more violent than before. The hurricane hit the wing blades, causing them to become irregular, instead of simply shooting out. This way, it was difficult to dodge the wing blade. A soul skill combo? Wang Feng's eyes widened. The Imperial Dipper battle team knows a soul skill combo? Could it be that he really learned it from them? Sure enough, Yu Tianheng didn't leave after the team battle. I'm afraid he watched the battle between Shrek's 7 monsters and the crazy battle team. In the original novel, Wang Feng didn't remember Yu Feng knowing a soul skill combo like this. There was only one possibility: he learned it on the spot. Wang Feng was speechless. If it was really his punch, the Imperial Dipper battle team wouldn't have been so cautious. He didn't expect them to watch Little Three's battle and imitate it. They even looked like it, which meant they had practiced it for a long time. Wang Feng wasn't a god. He didn't expect Yu Tianheng to watch Little Three's team battle. The two added together made the Imperial Dipper battle team seem to have changed. In fact, Wang Feng had considered the possibility that his punch would make Yu Tianheng's Imperial battle team take him more seriously. After all, Rongrong was one of Shrek's 7 monsters. So he gave Tang San a few moves. However, the Imperial Dipper battle team was more serious than Wang Feng expected. They might not be able to perform well. Yu Feng's throw of the Black Panther was a different kind of combo. It was a kind of wing blade storm. Against the units in the air, it was a terrifying killing power. Xiao Wu couldn't completely avoid the wing blade storm. She had 3 soul skills in a combo, and now she was finally hit by someone else's soul skill combo. Fortunately, she reacted quickly. She wanted to use Charm to slow down Yu Feng's release, and then use Instant Shift to avoid the wing blade storm. Unfortunately, although his reaction was very fast, Yu Feng did not know why he was not affected by her charm. Even though she used Instant Shift, her body was still cut by the wing blade storm. Blood flowed out and fell to the ground. This Yu Feng is a woman. She's not a man. Wang Feng was speechless. Xiao Wu's charm is much weaker against women. Plus, the difference in soul power is too big. It's useless. Xiao Wu was also confused. Logically speaking, even if there was a difference in soul power, why was it ineffective? Fortunately, Fatty's body was covered in flames and he spat out Phoenix Fireline. It smashed into the wing blade storm. Green and red, the 2 lights collided in the center. Yu Feng's expression changed. Her opponent was only using a 100-year soul skill, but it was comparable to her 1,000-year soul skill. Only a martial soul could counter it. In the end, Ma Hongjun sat on the ground with a pale face. Yu Feng groaned and blood flowed out of the corner of her mouth. Although she was injured, she still had some soul power left. End of chapter. Chapter 172. This fatty is not simple. Yu Feng glanced at the fatty. At the same time, Ma Hongjun also looked at Yu Feng. Their gazes met and sparks flew. Black Panther, let's go. There's a change on the captain's side, Yu Feng said. The Black Panther below was blocked by Zhu Zhuqing. The two fought back and forth, but Zhu Zhuqing couldn't beat the Black Panther. It could only be said to be temporarily blocked. Hearing this, Black Panther looked back thoughtfully and was stunned. What's that? In his line of sight. It was Tang San who released the attached soul bone without hesitation, 8 spider spear. The Imperial Dipper battle team gave them a lot of pressure. This battle is beyond my expectations. On the spectator's stand, Flender said, the Imperial Dipper battle team is too cautious. Master's face was also very serious. It seems that Tianheng must have seen Little Three's team battle. I didn't know they had these soul skills similar to Lin Feng's. He must have been inspired after seeing it. I really didn't expect. They didn't know that Yu Tianheng had seen the battle between Shrek's 7 monsters and the crazy battle team. Even Wang Feng didn't know, so it was impossible for Master to know. But at this time they all guessed it. Dai Mubai was the first to be injured, and his fighting strength was greatly reduced. Ma Hongjun fought against Yu Feng to create a soul skill combo. Although he broke it, he didn't have much soul power left. It's not good to fight against a 1,000-year soul skill with a 100-year soul skill, Master whispered. Xiao Wu was also injured, and now the only ones who are intact are Rongrong and Oscar. The two supports' fighting strength is very low. It can only be said that they can quickly recover Ma Hongjun and Xiao Wu. The only ones who still have fighting strength are Little Three and Zhu Qing. But the opponent, only Tianheng, was poisoned, but it wasn't fatal. The rest of them still have fighting strength. Little Three's 8 spider spear might not be able to play a decisive role. Flender was speechless for a long time. Lin Feng had made Tang San and the others stronger. Not only did he make his teammates stronger, but he could also affect the opponent and make them stronger. It could be said that the weather was unpredictable. In fact, it was just as the master had expected. After Tang San activated the 8 spider spears, 8 sharp spider leg spears imbued with deadly poison shot directly at the 2 Sure brothers who were using the tortoiseshell explosion. The tortoiseshell struck the spider's legs, producing clanging sounds, but it didn't cause any damage. The 2 of them were shocked. Their bodies were directly slashed by the spider's leg, and the venom entered their bodies, causing their expressions to change instantly. Yu Feng and O.C. Luo, who rushed over quickly, were also stunned. Yu Tianheng and Duguyen were also shocked. The 8 spider legs on its back looked really shocking, but very quickly Duguyen, who was the commander, reacted and said in a deep voice, "Don't fight head-on. Is this a twin martial spirit? But why did it look like a man-faced demon spider's leg? But no matter what it is, such a terrifyingly powerful thing must consume an enormous amount of soul power. Let's all spread out. As long as we can delay and avoid the attacks, he will definitely be exhausted. It will collapse on its own." After saying that, Duguyen took the lead and spat out 2 mouthfuls of jade Qilin purple poison at Tang San. At this time, without Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun, Tang San couldn't use the strong wine to break her jade Qilin purple poison, and Duguyen's words could be said to hit the nail on the head. They were incomparably cautious, but they didn't slack off at all. Their minds were very clear. As long as they avoided and didn't fight, Tang San controlled the 8 spider spears, it would be difficult to cause any damage to them. In fact, this was also what Tang San was worried about. The 8 spider spears' power was enormous, and it was both offensive and defensive, but the consumption of soul power was too great. The remaining few people, especially Yu Tianheng, had plenty of soul power. The poison just now didn't have much effect on him. If it came a few more times, the poison would worsen and cause more damage to him. Unfortunately, there was no chance. Once the opponent dodged and didn't fight, it would be troublesome. At the same time, the purple fog passed through Tang San and rushed toward the people behind him who were still recovering. These 2 jade qilin purple poison, even if it had no effect on Tang San, were fatal to the people behind him who were still recovering, as well as Dai Mubai. Blue-silver grass. Tang San's face darkened slightly, and his eyes emitted an evil aura. Rows of blue-silver grass suddenly rose behind him, forming an iron wall that reached the sky. It was like an impenetrable wall of blue-silver grass. What was he trying to do? Yu Tianheng and the others were stunned. This is a move that Big Brother Feng taught me. Let you guys have a taste of the jade qilin purple poison yourselves. Tang San waved his hand downward as if giving an order. The iron wall-like blue-silver grass behind him suddenly bent backward, as if it was crushed by a strong wind. Then, like a spring, it bounced back to the front. Accompanying it was a terrifying gust of wind. Perhaps it couldn't compare to Imperial Wind's 1,000-year soul skill, but the area it covered was very large. And the jade qilin purple poison was a mist. The blue-silver grass behind Tang San was like a cattail leaf fan, quickly blowing the incoming jade qilin purple poison to Yu Tianheng's side. Seeing this, Yu Tianheng's face changed. Blue-silver grass can be used like this? As the saying goes, the grass moves when the wind blows, but the grass can also move when the wind blows. This time, the jade qilin purple poison was not broken, but it was directly blown back by Tang San. This move is wonderful. Master couldn't help but cheer. Lin Feng's brain is different from time to time. Xiao San didn't use this move just now because he was waiting for this moment. Tang San had the 8 spider spears, so he could absorb the jade qilin purple poison without any threat. But the other party directly spat out 2 jade qilin purple poison in a row. The range was too large. He could absorb more than half of it, but as long as some of the jade qilin purple poison leaked to the back, with the remaining people's condition, they would almost certainly fall to the ground. And this move could not only solve the problem, but also counter the enemy. Seeing this, Yu Tianheng and the others immediately dodged. Duguyen hurriedly spat out another jade qilin purple poison. When it collided with the jade qilin purple poison that was blown back, it collided and barely blocked it. The 2 purple poisons collided and exploded into an even more dense purple mist that rushed into the air. At this time, Tang San rushed into the crowd and fought against 4 people alone. Yu Feng at the back could control the wind, so he was naturally not affected by the purple poison. But in the end, Tang San could only cause Iso and Yu Tianheng to be poisoned by the 8 spider spears and temporarily lose their fighting strength. Even Yu Tianheng relied on his tyrannical soul power to block it. Yu Feng and Duguyen were not attacked. The 4 of them were almost pulling and fighting. Yu Tianheng blocked Duguyen's side, Yu Feng was in the air, and Iso was extremely fast, so it was difficult to hit. The most important thing was that the other party had already thought of a strategy. If they avoided fighting, they would run and dodge, and there was nothing they could do. So in the end, Tang San gave it his all, but only managed to injure Iso and Yu Tianheng's dragon claw. Not long later, Tang San fell to the ground due to overexertion and supported Dai Mubai. At this time, the only ones left with fighting strength were Duguyen, Yu Feng, and half of Yu Tianheng. Yu Tianheng's dragon claw was scratched by the 8 spider spears. His dragon claw had a certain degree of resistance to the poison, so he was fine at this time, but his face was slightly green. "We're going to lose." Dai Mubai coughed a few times and frowned at Tang San. End of chapter. Chapter 173. Tang San remained silent. The opponent's strategy was perfect, and they were extremely cautious. In addition, there was a huge gap in their soul power. It was already the best result that they could reach this stage. If he used his hidden weapon, he would definitely win. However, the master did not allow the use of hidden weapons. The lethality was too great. Once he used it, he would definitely kill. At this moment, the nine-hearted begonia in front of Yi Lingling lit up with light, and it slowly healed their injuries. Although the poison could not be detoxified, their injuries could be healed. However, Yi Lingling looked a little dizzy. It was obvious that she had inhaled some of the purple mist that was blown back. You lost. Yu Tianheng gasped for breath. Although his dragon claw could resist the poison of Tang San's 8-spider spear, it spread quickly. His arm was already purple. I didn't expect it to be so difficult. Yu Feng's head was sweating profusely. He accidentally inhaled the purple mist that was blown back. His head was a little heavy. Duguyan's face was also a little pale. Her soul power was almost exhausted. It could be said that they went all out without holding back. They did not expect to be defeated like this. Fortunately, at least. But at this moment, Zhu Zhuqing walked to Wang Feng and said while panting, "I want to win." Wang Feng. Just 3 simple words, okay. Wang Feng was not pretentious. This was a crucial match. Now, the few of them had fought well. No matter what, Wang Feng would not let Xiao San and the others lose. Moreover, it seemed like he was the one who caused it. However, while Wang Feng was unable to make a move against the remaining 3, Zhu Zhuqing was able to make a move. Hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing nodded slightly. She used the remaining 30% of her soul power to activate her martial soul, Netherworld Civet. However, it did not attach to her body. Instead, it floated above Zhu Zhuqing's head. At the same time, Wang Feng was slightly shocked. The red lotus in his palm rotated. A resplendent red lotus with the color of ice crystals suddenly appeared in front of him. A black soul ring revolved around the center of the red lotus. Zhu Zhuqing controlled her martial soul, Netherworld Civet, and nimbly jumped on the red lotus platform. Between the 2 colors of ice and fire, it added a dark purple luster to it, making it look magnificent. The Netherworld Civet landed on the lotus platform, as if it had obtained a terrifying power, and let out a soft roar. In an instant, Zhu Zhuqing's entire body emitted a dazzling light. She stared into Wang Feng's eyes. When the Netherworld Civet roared, it also let out a soft moan. The shape of the red lotus was reflected in their eyes. Martial Soul Fusion Skill, Netherworld Red Lotus Body. Wang Feng muttered to himself as he activated his soul force. The Netherworld Civet on the red lotus was wrapped in flames and icicles as it jumped into Zhu Zhuqing's forehead with the red lotus. In an instant, Zhu Zhuqing was completely wrapped in flames and ice, as if she was caught in a storm of ice and fire. Almost immediately, everyone's gazes were attracted to him. What's that? Is it another soul fusion skill? Duguyan said with a trembling voice, "It's that girl from earlier." No, that person shouldn't be the monster leader of the Qing Bao combo. This fused flower is red. Why does this Shrek's 7 monsters have so many soul fusion skills? Yu Tianheng glanced at Qin Ming in the distance, but even so, there are still 3 of us left. Even if it's a soul fusion skill, it might not be able to defeat the 3 of us at once. However, at this moment, when they saw Zhu Zhuqing, who was completely covered in ice and fire, walk out of the flames, their hearts turned cold. Almost at the same time, countless gazes were completely attracted to Zhu Zhuqing at this moment. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing was burning with flames inch by inch. She was like a goddess of war reborn from the flames. However, every part of his body was covered in a dazzling ice crystal armor. From her small body to her thighs to her waist, her twin peaks, and her neck it was completely open. Even the originally pitch-black mask was covered with a layer of faint ice crystals. These ice crystals were like the petals of a red lotus, covering Zhu Zhuqing's entire body. It was very beautiful. Even her elegant black hair had become a sky blue intertwined with ice and fire. Hot and cold, two contradictory auras overlapped on Zhu Zhuqing's body at this moment. It was also a magnificent beauty. It was also cold and elegant beyond compare. A terrifying aura was emitted from Zhu Zhuqing's body at this moment. Isn't this too beautiful? Those ice crystal armor. Her entire body is burning with flames. This flame is not simple, it's even more powerful than my phoenix flames. In the distance, Ma Hongjun was just eating his grilled sausage when he was stunned. This month, Wang Feng and I also tried to use soul fusion skills, but we haven't finished debugging it yet. When did they complete it? This state doesn't seem to be worse than your glazed golden lotus body, fifth sister. Ning Rongrong felt a little sour in her heart. Looking at this scene, she still added buffs to Zhu Zhuqing. But the strange thing was that when the two rays of light fell on Zhu Zhuqing's body, they were directly burned by the flames on Zhu Zhuqing's body. Ning Rongrong's eyes widened. Not buff? At this moment, the red lotus war goddess, Zhu Zhuqing, who was bathed in flames, slowly walked towards the remaining three people. Go! Dugu Yan's pupils constricted slightly. She directly spat out a mouthful of jade qilin purple poison at Zhu Zhuqing. This was her last bit of strength. As a test. The moment the jade qilin purple poison came into contact with Zhu Zhuqing's body, it turned into white smoke and disappeared. Within a 30-meter radius, no purple poison had any effect. At the same time, Yu Tianheng and Yu Feng, who still had strength left, directly attacked Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing was expressionless. Her claws that were covered in icicles were burning with flames as she waved her hand. Boom, boom, boom. It was just a simple wave of her hand, just like an ordinary attack. But in the air, two flaming ice crystal claw shadows appeared consecutively. And the range was extremely large. It almost covered an area of 10 meters. Bang, bang, bang. Yu Feng and Yu Tianheng, who were in midair, were directly sent flying by this super-large flaming ice crystal claw. They spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood. In the air, there was even an explosion of ice and fire. The ice shards wrapped in flames shot out in all directions in the entire range. It even made a tinkling sound as it pierced the soul battle stage. The power was obviously terrifying. It made Yu Tianheng and Yu Feng look at Zhu Zhuqing in shock. A normal attack range combo? The rest of the people were also stunned. This martial soul fusion technique seems to be a little strong. Tang San muttered. The flames on her body don't seem to be strengthened by any power, whether it's amplified or weakened. The ice crystals on her body should be to strengthen her defense, and the flames should be to increase her attack power. But the strong part is just a normal attack, but it's accompanied by a combo, and it's almost a super large range attack effect. Who can get close to her? The truth was just as Tang San thought. Wang Feng looked at Zhu Zhuqing. After experimenting, he found that the fusion of Red Lotus and Zhu Zhuqing's Netherworld Civet was the strongest. In addition to increasing her defense and attack power, Zhu Zhuqing is also not affected by any amplification, weakening, negative effects, and various poisons. Even Little Three's hidden weapons can't penetrate it. End of this chapter. Chapter 174. Wang Feng thought to himself, the most powerful ones are naturally the normal attacks and the super large area of effect attack. It can be said to be unsolvable. The advantage of fighting one-on-one is not obvious enough, but if it's a group battle, it will be much more obvious. He could be considered a true god of war. One had to know that Zhu Zhuqing was an agility type, and her attack speed was extremely fast. Adding on this state, even if the increase in attributes was not as exaggerated as Ning Rongrong's glazed golden lotus body, the effect of the battle was extremely terrifying. This is Lin Feng's second martial soul fusion skill. Flender was extremely shocked. Sure enough, Lin Feng's guess is true. His martial soul might really be able to fuse with these 7 children to become stronger. If that person you guys are talking about doesn't make a move, with Zhu Zhuqing's current state, the remaining people won't be a match for Zhu Zhuqing. The master said in a low voice, I even suspect that even if there are 7 people left, they might not be able to defeat Zhu Zhuqing. The master's suspicion was naturally reasonable. With Zhu Zhuqing's current state, the effect of a one-on-one battle was not obvious. But if it was a group battle, they would all be finished. The effect was simply terrifying. Zhu Zhuqing walked step by step towards the remaining 3 people. With a wave of her hand, she sent Yu Tianheng and Yu Feng flying. With such a large area of effect, Yu Feng, who had the ability to fly, obviously had no advantage. So strong? Yu Feng touched the burned wounds on his body. Wisps of flame seemed to be difficult to extinguish as they slowly burned. Boss, this flame is even stronger than that fatty's. Just now, Yu Tianheng had used his dragon claw to block in front of him in time. The burning dragon claw actually burned away the poison of the 8 spider spear. But the pain was even more unbearable for Yu Tianheng. What kind of fire is this? It can even burn away the poison from Tang San's spider leg. Yu Tianheng was in disbelief. At this moment, his dragon claw was being burned by the flames. Wing blade. Rising wind and surging clouds. Yu Feng stood up again and directly used his soul skill combo to attack Zhu Zhuqing. However, the wing blade storm this time was directly destroyed by Zhu Zhuqing's 2 claws. The exploding icicles even shattered the wing blades in the storm. Yu Feng. I can't beat boss, Yu Feng smiled bitterly. The power of this martial soul fusion technique is not inferior to the one we encountered before. Du Guyan looked at Wang Feng's position with a grave expression. Could this person be him? However, their martial souls were different. It is impossible for the same type of martial spirit to fuse with 2 different types of martial spirits. Furthermore, their forms are different as well. Unless it is a twin martial spirit. Admit defeat. No, since he has made a move, then teacher Qin Ming won't ignore it. At this time, whether it was the players on the Great Soul Arena, the commentator and host Douluo, or the audience in the VIP area, they were all stunned by Zhu Zhuqing's current state and power. As if it was their final trump card, Team Shrek used a mysterious martial soul fusion technique to reverse the situation. It was at this moment. A figure suddenly attacked Zhu Zhuqing. The speed of teleportation. Zhu Zhuqing's footsteps froze. That figure was the Imperial Battle Team's figure that had been in the corner. Too fast. It also carried a scorching aura. It was heading straight for Zhu Zhuqing. It was far beyond Zhu Zhuqing's imagination at this time. Before she could attack, the other party's palm had already pressed on Zhu Zhuqing's shoulder. However, Zhu Zhuqing only let out a muffled groan. She was not injured in the slightest. She was only sent flying by the powerful force. As for the figure, it was revealed. He was wearing a black robe and a mask, looking at Zhu Zhuqing with an incomparably solemn gaze. At this time, the palm that he had just struck had already turned blue, and the flames on his palm had also extinguished. Let me exchange blows with you. The man looked at Zhu Zhuqing with a slightly gloomy face. This little girl of over level 20, with a martial soul fusion technique, could unleash such terrifying strength. Even if she fought the Imperial Battle Team alone, she still had a chance. And the initiator. Qin Ming looked at Wang Feng. Who was this person? What kind of role did he play in Shrek's 7 Monsters? What kind of martial soul did he have to be so strong after using a martial soul fusion technique with Zhu Zhuqing? This was almost unimaginable. Even he did not dare to say that he had the strength to fight the Imperial battle team alone. But right now, Zhu Zhuqing's strength was inferior to his, but she definitely had the strength to fight them alone. If placed on the battlefield, her strength would be even greater than that of a rank 70 soul sage. A normal attack was an explosive combo. Who could withstand it? Was this the accident that Tianheng had mentioned? It was indeed unexpected. After Qin Ming finished speaking, his entire body lit up with 6 soul rings. A giant wolf martial soul that burned with flames appeared on his body. A variant martial soul, a 6-ringed soul emperor. In the distance, Wang Feng frowned slightly as he looked at this figure. Soul emperor? Zhu Zhuqing can't win. Wang Feng sighed. He did not expect the Imperial battle team to have such a trump card. Could it be him? At this time, Zhu Zhuqing rushed towards Qin Ming. Her attack speed was very fast, and the entire soul dueling arena was filled with explosive sounds. But Qin Ming was several times faster than her, and the explosive ice spikes were blocked by his body. This variant Fire Wolf martial soul was a rare martial soul. Its attacks were also of the fire attribute, and its strength was extremely great. Not long after, Zhu Zhuqing did not cause any damage to Qin Ming, but she did not suffer any injuries either. She was only constantly sent flying. There was no other way. The soul power gap was too big. No matter how abnormal this martial soul fusion technique was, it could not allow her to surpass more than 30 ranks of soul power. Moreover, this martial soul fusion technique gave Zhu Zhuqing the ability to fight against groups. The effect was very poor against Qin Ming in a one-on-one fight. A moment later, Zhu Zhuqing was sent flying again. She was about to fall into the soul dueling arena. Obviously, Qin Ming wanted to send Zhu Zhuqing flying out of the soul dueling arena. Because he would only cause fatal damage to Zhu Zhuqing, he would not do that. The flames on his opponent's body seemed to be able to absorb his own fire attribute attacks, so Qin Ming could only rely on pure strength to directly send her flying. The most terrifying thing was that every time he hit her, he would feel a violent burning sensation on his hand. But at this moment, a figure appeared behind the rapidly retreating Zhu Zhuqing, and then directly pressed his palm against Zhu Zhuqing's back to prevent Zhu Zhuqing from being sent flying out of the soul dueling arena. I can't beat him. Zhu Zhuqing snorted, as if she was unwilling. It's okay, I'll do it, Wang Feng said. It would be strange if you could beat him. He is a soul emperor after all. He took back the Red Lotus. The battle with Zhu Zhuqing just now had consumed most of his soul power. But it did not matter. Even if he did not use his soul power, he still had terrifying strength. Zhu Zhuqing let out an inaudible sound. As Wang Feng took back the Red Lotus, she slowly returned to her original state and looked at Wang Feng's back. Wang Feng slowly walked towards Qin Ming. There were still a few more in the evening. End of this chapter. Chapter 175. P.S. The previous chapter was slightly revised. Because it was a Soul Elder competition, Qin Ming only showed 3 soul rings. I forgot this point. Sorry. When Wang Feng walked out, in midair, the host of Bai Daodu, who had been shocked by this battle, suddenly had his eyes lit up. Everyone, it seems that this battle has a new turning point. I didn't expect the fierce battle to end. The last mysterious key figures of both teams appeared at the same time. We can see that these 2 mysterious figures did not participate in the battle at the beginning. I didn't expect them to finally make a move at this time. Bai Daodu flew in midair. His expression seemed to be a little excited, and even couldn't help but reintroduce. These 2 mysterious figures have just joined their respective teams temporarily. This one from the Imperial Battle Team is called Ming Qin, a level 40 soul warrior with a Fire Wolf martial soul. And the mysterious figure from the Shrek's 7 monsters is called Saul, a level 34 Tool Soul Master with a red lotus martial soul. Just now we saw that this Sol Soul Master and the girl from the Shrek's 7 Monsters, codenamed Netherworld Civet, seemed to have a magical martial soul fusion, causing the balance of victory to suddenly reverse. At this time, the Netherworld Civet has lost its fighting strength. Can this Sol defeat Ming Qin? This wonderful battle is finally going to usher in the most critical moment. Bai Daoda's voice, following Wang Feng's footsteps, slowly sounded. Spectator area. Ming Qin, sure enough, this guy also joined. Flender couldn't help but shake his head. He didn't expect the battle to come to this point. The number of people in the Great Soul Arena was relative, which was also for the sake of fairness. The number here refers to the number of people when you register or when you enter the arena. Generally, it was 7v7. If you have one more person on your side, then the other team will naturally have one more person. Of course, you can also register 7 people and go on stage alone. No one will refuse you to give away points. So the Imperial Battle Team had one more person, and the Master also let Wang Feng go on stage. But the requirement was that if this person called Ming Qin didn't make a move, Wang Feng wouldn't make a move. And the identity Wang Feng used was naturally the combination identity with Zhu Zhuqing, Sol. It should be the Imperial Battle Team's way of dealing with Lin Feng, right? Lin Feng used the identity of the monster captain of Rongrong's team, and Rongrong is one of Shrek's 7 monsters. Of course, Ancient Jade has reason to suspect that this monster captain is one of Shrek's people. But now, the one to take the field is Sol. They probably didn't expect Wang Feng to register 3 identities with different martial spirits. At the side, Zhao Wuji grinned and said, "This guy, Qin Ming, is a monster from our previous batch of Shrek students. Now I'm at least level 60. However, this is a team battle between Soul Elders. Even if Qin Ming used a fake identity to register and join temporarily, he should only be able to display the strength of a 3-ringed Soul Elder. However, with his mutated martial soul and the physique of a beast martial soul, even if he only uses the strength of a Soul Elder, it won't be that simple. Wang Feng and Zhu Zhuqing's martial soul fusion skill is powerful, but it's more suitable for group battles. At this moment, Wang Feng doesn't have much soul power left. He can only rely on his physical strength. Furthermore, he can't use his other forms of martial soul. In the main soul arena, Teacher Qin will only use the strength of a level 40 Soul Elder. Yu Tianheng said in a deep voice, however, he has a mutated beast martial soul with a fire attribute attack. Furthermore, his physical strength is extremely strong. A soul master with a beast martial soul naturally had an extremely strong physical strength. Needless to say, at that time, Zhao Wuji didn't use any soul power at all. He just stood there and let Tang San and the other 2 beat him up. But this Sol used a martial soul fusion skill with that Netherworld Civet just now. A martial soul fusion skill consumes a lot of soul power. Du Guyen looked at the figure of the opponent who slowly walked out and said, "His soul power should be very weak right now. But if he is that monster captain..." At this time, Yu Tianheng and Du Guyen looked at each other and saw the fear in each other's eyes. At that time, they also thought so, but in the end, they were sent flying by that monster captain with one punch. Don't be afraid. If it's really him, Teacher Qin Ming may have a chance of winning. His physical strength is very strong," Yu Tianheng said in a deep voice. With the physical strength of a level 62 Soul Emperor and a Soul Master with a mutated beast martial soul, even if he only used the strength of a level 40 Soul Elder, he could defeat Yu Tianheng with one punch. This was equivalent to a high-level account in a game that came to the novice village to show off. Although he only used 3 skills, his physical strength and HP were real. After Wang Feng walked up, he glanced at Qin Ming and said to Tang San and the others, "Let's detoxify them first." After saying that, Wang Feng looked at Qin Ming, who was wearing a black robe and mask, and said, "Just the two of us, who will win?" Qin Ming was silent for a long time and nodded slightly. He went up to see the accident that Yu Tianheng said. Now that the accident happened, it was natural for him to do so. Just like this, the two teams that were fighting fiercely just now directly retreated to the side, as if they were specially preparing the battlefield for the two of them. I wonder how my physical strength is compared to Qin Ming's. It should be much stronger, Wang Feng thought to himself. In the past 4 months, his physical strength had improved very little. Most of it was the increase in soul power and the use of the mysterious underworld spike. Purely based on physical strength, he could only judge it by fighting with soul beasts and fighting with Tang San and the others. And Qin Ming had a mutated beast martial soul, the blazing ash wolf. This kind of powerful and top-notch beast martial soul was considered a testing stone? Then let's do it. The moment Wang Feng's voice fell, Qin Ming disappeared. His speed was very fast. It left behind a series of sparks in the air as it rushed towards Wang Feng. Wang Feng did not hide his mysterious underworld armor and directly used his first block to clash with Qin Ming. First soul skill, double-edged wolf fang, Qin Ming shouted in a low voice. When he hit that girl just now, he was a little afraid of injuring her, so he didn't use any soul skills. He only used his pure physical strength to carry out martial soul possession. He relied on his extraordinary speed and powerful strength to send her flying without using any soul skills. Now, it was his first time using a soul skill. Although he could only use 3, it was enough since the other party's soul power was in a weak state. Furthermore, his intuition told him that Saul, who had been hiding in the back, was not simple. Double-edged wolf fang, both palms are covered in flames. The attack power of each palm is increased by 50%, and the speed is increased by 50%. Using the double-edged wolf fang, Qin Ming's hands turned into wolf claws and slashed at Wang Feng. Wang Feng snorted and a strange light flashed in his eyes. The other party was very fast, but he could still easily detect it. Reversal of heaven and earth. Wang Feng directly received this move and grabbed the other party's claws with both hands. Following the other party's attack, he drew a strange circle in the air and placed the 2 wolf claws on the other party's chest. At this critical moment, Qin Ming's eyes flashed with shock. He did not understand how his move landed on his body. However, he was very experienced in fighting. The moment his double-edged wolf fang landed on his body, his second soul ring suddenly lit up. Second soul skill, Flaming Wolf Wall. End of chapter. Chapter 176. Flaming Wolf's Wall. Empowers the user's entire body with fire, increasing his defense by 50%. At the same time, it can inflict powerful fire damage to the opponent. It's a defense-type soul skill. A ball of fire lit up in the middle of Qin Ming's chest. It was extremely hot, like a wall. Ci. Wang Feng's claws hit the wall, and an ear-piercing sound rang out. Immediately after, Wang Feng's fist landed on the wall of flames. Boom! The wall of fire shattered instantly, and Wang Feng's fist landed on Qin Ming's chest. Qin Ming's expression changed drastically. He flew out as if he was hit by a truck. The fire damage Wang Feng received was almost ineffective. "You're not strong enough," Wang Feng said slowly. "Where's your third soul skill? Use it together." The truth was just as he thought. Qin Ming's physique was strong, but it was much weaker than his. However, Qin Ming was a rank 60 soul emperor. In other words, Wang Feng's current physical strength was comparable to a rank 60 beast soul battle soul master. Everyone took a deep breath when they saw this. He has no soul power? How can he be so strong? He can send teacher Qin Ming flying with one punch? Du Guyen said in disbelief. Is he really that monster captain? Yu Tianheng did not say a word as he watched the exchange between the two. This all gave him a very strong pressure. This mysterious Ming Qin from the Imperial Dipper battle team isn't simple, right? Dai Mubai said in a low voice. Wang Feng's fist was able to send me flying, losing more than half of his strength. This Ming Qin, if his soul power is only at rank 40, how could he possibly withstand Wang Feng's fist? Although Qin Ming was sent flying, Dai Mubai could still see that Qin Ming wasn't injured. He only slid a short distance on the soul dueling stage before he stood up and coughed twice. I'm afraid he's a high-rank soul master who suppressed his strength, Tang San thought. His martial soul is very strong. A soul master with a beast soul has a strong physical body. If he's a high-rank soul master, even if he suppresses his soul power, his physical strength won't change. But generally speaking, a high-rank soul master wouldn't lower himself to participate in a soul elder team battle. I'm afraid the Imperial Dipper battle team joined to prevent Brother Feng. Mubai, you should have noticed that Yu Tianheng is the Yu and Yen team that fought Brother Feng and Rongrong the other day. It's obvious. At this point, Tang San suddenly smiled bitterly. Now I understand why the Imperial battle team is so cautious. Brother Feng's punch must have scared Yu Tianheng, otherwise, they wouldn't have invited a soul exalt to suppress his soul force to participate in the tournament. He was probably waiting for Brother Feng to make a move. After all, with his pride as a high-ranked soul master, he wouldn't break the balance of the competition. Dai Mubai. Damn, no wonder the battle team. He continuously activated his seed. Furthermore, judging from their soul skill combos, they might even have personally watched our team battle and analyzed and learned from it. Tang San was very smart and had been speculating. Now that he had seen the powerful Ming Qin, he was almost certain of his guess. But Ming Qin can't beat Wang Feng, right? If he suppresses his soul power. Dai Mubai smiled. But just as he smiled, suddenly the distant Qin Ming changed. The third purple soul ring on Qin Ming's body suddenly lit up. Third soul skill, Wolverine. Following the release of his third soul skill, Qin Ming's entire body was covered in a layer of golden light. His skin and hair began to grow slightly and his body was covered in a layer of faint flames. It was similar to Zhu Zhuqing, but much smaller. Teacher Qin Ming's third soul skill, Wolverine. Yu Tianheng's eyes flashed. Wolverine was an extremely strong mutated soul beast among the 1,000-year soul beasts. They had an indestructible body, and could tear apart the enemy's Vajra-rending claws. Their strength, speed, offense, and defense were the best among wolf-type soul beasts. A 7,000 to 8,000-year Wolverine could even kill a 10,000-year soul beast. It could be said to be a good match for Teacher Qin Ming's mutated firewolf martial soul. His body's attributes are increased by 200%. Although the duration is a little short, only 15 minutes, Teacher Qin Ming's offense, defense, speed, and so on will all increase tremendously within these 15 minutes. It's Teacher Qin Ming's core soul skill. 15 minutes was considered a very short time in a battle between soul masters. It belonged to a super explosive soul skill. This kind of super strong soul skill could allow Qin Ming to fight above his level. Qin Ming's eyes flashed with a trace of light. His hands stretched out a golden blade that flickered with a cold light. Apart from the amplification brought by his third soul skill, this golden blade was also a great killing weapon. Obviously, Wang Feng's punch had made him treat it seriously. And Wang Feng looked at the current Qin Ming and felt slightly surprised. Boom! In the next moment, Qin Ming did not delay at all and directly attacked Wang Feng again. The time was short, so he naturally had to hit his opponent as soon as possible. What a strong amplification! Wang Feng's hands were itchy and he directly rushed towards Qin Ming. From afar, they were like two streaks of flowing light, one black and one gold. This was because Wang Feng's clothes were black. Although Qin Ming was also dressed in black, his entire body was emitting a golden light. The two collided directly. There was a strong gust of wind in the air, causing everyone's hair to flutter and their clothes to flutter. The wild hurricane even caused a few people to cover their eyes. The two figures retreated a few steps from the middle of the mist. They were Wang Feng and Qin Ming. At this moment, Qin Ming's attributes had increased tremendously. Even if he did not use his soul power, he was equivalent to a rank 62 Soul Emperor, and his physical strength was twice as strong. Not to mention the huge increase in all aspects. Although the time was very short, it was indeed very strong. Wolverine, is there such a soul beast? Wang Feng was speechless. Qin Ming, who had used his third soul skill, was in the same state as Wang Feng. If they continued fighting like this, there would probably be no result. Qin Ming did not plan to use any soul skills. He only slowly circulated his soul power throughout his body and punched Wang Feng again and again. This was because when he used the double-edged wolf fangs, his opponent seemed to be able to use his soul skills. Therefore, Qin Ming was very smart. He simply threw away his soul skills and used force. I'm just punching and kicking. You can't use it, right? Boom, boom, boom. In the air, there was a burst of real air. Every time the two of them attacked, it would bring a huge shock to the Great Soul Arena. Compared to the battle of the 14 people just now, the impact was even greater. After all, Qin Ming was a rank 62 Soul Emperor. Even if he suppressed his soul power, his physical quality was still very strong. A few minutes later, as the two of them attacked again, Qin Ming and Wang Feng separated again. Wait a minute. Wang Feng suddenly said, wait for 3 seconds, then fight again. Qin Ming's current strength was slightly stronger than him. 15 minutes was enough to beat up Shrek's 7 people. However, it was time to end it. Are you going to admit defeat? Qin Ming frowned and asked. No, no, no. I feel like I've fought enough. Wang Feng slowly hid his Xianming armor. Just now it was a punch by punch. Qin Ming did not attack the Xianming armor on his body. End of this chapter. Chapter 177. 3 seconds later. Let's do it again. Wang Feng took a deep breath and hid his Xianming armor. It felt like the world was different. What was more interesting was that no one knew his current state. He could switch between first gear and second gear at any time. They were the most practical 2 gears. Everyone looked at him and felt a little puzzled. He didn't seem to have moved for 3 seconds? Nothing had changed? Why? But in the next moment, they understood. Wang Feng disappeared on the spot. Countless cracks suddenly appeared on the extremely hard soul battle arena. It was as if it had been blasted away by some impact. So fast. Tang San's pupils constricted. With his current strength, he could still clearly see the trajectory of the collision between the two of them. But now, with Brother Feng's speed, he couldn't detect it at all. He was also at rank 34 now. He's even faster than when he trained with us. Tang San said in a low voice. Brother Feng's strength seems to have increased by a level. During the later training, Tang San could still see Wang Feng's speed clearly. But now, he couldn't see it clearly. He couldn't see a shadow at all. That night, when Wang Feng entered the black fog and fought Tianya, he should have used this strength, right? Dai Mubai said in a low voice. That night. Ning Rongrong asked curiously, which night? Why don't I know? It was a month ago when Ma Hongjun brought Tang San and the others to take revenge on Douluo. They encountered 2 Soul Kings who were over rank 50. In the end, they were defeated by Wang Feng in a few breaths. At that time, Wang Feng was using second gear and the Void Realm. He also used the Xianming spike to knock Old Goose, who was trying to escape, to the ground. This monster king, how much strength is he hiding? Ma Hongjun couldn't help but say. I rarely see him use his soul skills now. When he fought with us, he never used them. Now his strength has suddenly increased by a level. How did he do it? He hasn't used his soul power yet. Ma Hongjun was shocked and couldn't understand. At this moment, Zhu Zhuqing walked over and suddenly said, "It's wait." Everyone was stunned. "Zhuqing, how did you know?" Xiao Wu asked curiously. "A few days ago, when I was experimenting with a martial soul fusion skill with him, I accidentally failed once." Zhu Zhuqing was silent for a moment and said in a low voice, "At that time, I didn't have much strength. I accidentally put my hands on his back. I touched a very hard, steel-like armor. When I touched it, I suddenly felt my body become soft. I feel that the armor is very heavy." Everyone. It was rare to hear Zhu Zhuqing talk so much. "Wait. Just what? Are you feeling weak?" Ning Rongrong's voice suddenly became a little louder. She looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said in a strange tone, You can't possibly," she wanted to say, "are you lying on his back?" Zhu Zhuqing glanced at her and shook her head. "Then, I was bounced back to the ground. He told me to lie on the ground and rest for a while." Everyone. Ning Rongrong suddenly felt a little happy. It turned out that she didn't lie down and was bounced to the ground. "Zhuqing, why are you so careless?" Ning Rongrong rebuked. "Wang Feng is really too much. Why does he usually wear this kind of armor? I'll talk to him next time." Zhu Zhuqing. What's the matter with your tone of a female protagonist? Armor? Tang San frowned slightly. What heavy armor? But I can't see it at all usually. Strange. Everyone was also puzzled. The heavier the armor, the more obvious it should be. But they usually didn't see any difference. At this time, in the center of the Great Soul Arena, Qin Ming also broke out in cold sweat. The moment Wang Feng moved, he knew something was wrong. His speed was too fast. With his current strength, he couldn't catch him. It's time to end it. At some point, a voice sounded in his ears. Subconsciously, Qin Ming placed the Vajra claw on the back of his hand in front of his chest. Crack! But the terrifying power brought by the extreme speed almost instantly shattered the invincible Vajra claw. Then, it imprinted on his body. Boom! This time, Qin Ming seemed to have been directly hit by a high-speed train. He was directly blasted out of the Great Soul Arena. He smashed into the wall outside. Almost instantly, a loud sound like a building collapsing came from the distant wall, raising dust. "It's this punch." Yu Tianheng endured the injuries on his body and stood up, his voice trembling. "It's definitely him. This person is definitely that monster captain." It was too familiar. The feeling of this punch, that kind of power. It was incomparable. "Captain, was this how you were sent flying by a single punch?" Yu Feng swallowed his saliva gently and looked at the loud explosion outside the Great Soul Arena. Who could withstand this? No wonder someone as strong as the captain would be defeated in an instant. The feeling can't be wrong. Although at that time, he was standing in the same place. Yu Tianheng said in a deep voice. "So strong? Is he really only level 34? Oslo asked curiously. Could it be the same as teacher Qin Ming, suppressing his soul power? In fact, he should also be a soul emperor? Yu Tianheng shook his head. He couldn't guess this kind of thing. Because the other party even used his martial soul, but he couldn't rule out this possibility. At this moment, as Qin Ming was blasted out of the arena, the entire Great Soul Arena fell into an incomparably quiet atmosphere. After a long time, Wang Feng said to Dodo in the air, "I say, isn't it time to announce the result?" The host, Dodo, seemed to have woken up from a dream and suddenly came back to his senses and announced, "Team Battle Soul, Shrek's 7 monsters win." As if they hadn't come back to their senses, there were no cheers around, but the victory of this battle still made Tang San's 7 people feel extremely excited. After a while, Qin Ming slowly stood up from the dust in the distance. He walked to the stage and looked at the people in front of him, silent, and a little blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. That blow just now was very terrifying, but he could still fight, but the other party directly blasted him out of the arena and lost. In other words, the other party meant that it was time to end it. You guys are very strong. Yu Tianheng and the 7 people from the Imperial Combat Academy looked at Tang San and the others and said in a deep voice. His gaze swept across these 7 people. They were very strong. Each one of them was not inferior to them. In the first half of the battle, they fought with all their strength and barely suppressed the other party. One had to know that they were all soul elders above level 35. 7. The other party was not, and their soul power levels were not up to par. But they were able to fight back and forth with them. Yu Tianheng sometimes thought that if he didn't see that punch, he wouldn't have seen the other party's team battle. At this moment, they definitely wouldn't be so cautious. They would have most likely lost. Just this 1,000 arms Azura and that powerful spider spear were enough. If their strategy was wrong, it was possible for them to be wiped out. You guys are also very strong. Dai Mubai also coughed a few times and said, your soul skill combo caught us off guard. Also, your strategy and cooperation are very powerful. If not for... This was the truth. The Imperial Combat Academy's soul skill combo really made them suffer a lot. What was more important was tactics. End of this chapter. Chapter 178. Yu Tianheng shook his head. Actually, you guys don't know this, but I've seen your team fight before. I learned the soul power combo from you guys and so did the tactical coordination. However, I haven't fully familiarized myself with it after a month of rushed training. By the way, Shrek's 7 monsters should have a top-notch master tactician, right? Who is he? At this moment, Du Guyen interjected, we want to thank him personally. Master tactician? Everyone turned to look at Wang Feng. At this moment, he was tidying up the small bench in the distance. He had been sitting there watching the match just now. What's the matter? Wang Feng was slightly taken aback when he saw everyone looking at him. Ahem, I'll introduce him to you next time. Tang San suddenly didn't want to talk about Brother Feng for the time being. Yu Tianheng and the others nodded. Finally, his gaze fell on Wang Feng. The other members of the Imperial Battle Team also looked at Wang Feng. In this match, there was only one person who defeated them, the monster captain who defeated him with a single punch. It was him who used a martial soul fusion skill to reverse the situation in an instant. It was also him who defeated Teacher Qin Ming. The most terrifying thing was that he didn't seem to have used any soul power or any soul skill. You guys are Shrek's 7 monsters. Monsters are monsters, right? The strength of the 7 of you are indeed monsters. Why isn't he among you? At this moment, Qin Ming stepped forward and asked. Hearing this, Tang San and the others laughed. Him? Ma Hongjun laughed. Of course he's not among us Shrek's 7 monsters, because he's a monster among monsters, our monster captain. It's really you. Yu Tianheng couldn't help but look at Wang Feng. Twin martial souls? You can even use 2 martial soul fusion skills. No wonder you're so strong. Twin? Wang Feng smiled. You used strong liquor to neutralize my jade Qilin purple poison. Was that your idea? Du Guyen looked at Tang San. You used your blue-silver grass to form a palm leaf fan to blow away my jade Qilin purple poison. Was that your idea? Tang San first nodded, then shook his head. I was the one who thought of using strong alcohol to neutralize the jade Qilin purple poison. I'm also proficient in poisons, but it was the master tactician who told me how to form a fan of blue-silver grass to blow away your jade Qilin purple poison. Amazing! Du Guyen praised. If there's a chance, I really want to meet this master tactician of yours. I'll spar with you next time. With that said, Yu Tianheng and the others followed Qin Ming out of the soul battle arena. At this moment, applause sounded from the VIP room. This was a very exciting match. Regardless of whether it was the exciting battle between the first 7 people, or the Red Lotus Valkyrie Zhu Zhuqing's reversal of the battle situation, or the 2 mysterious experts from their respective teams that had yet to make a move, they had all drawn the most exciting and perfect conclusion to this battle. And this time, Wang Feng's title as the monster captain was undeniable. Twin martial souls, the captain of Shrek's 7 monsters. This mysterious monster captain had cast a hazy veil over the Shrek's 7 monsters. The 7 of them walked back to the lounge excitedly. Flender, Grandmaster, and Zhao Wuji, who had been waiting for them, were all there. You guys did very well today. Grandmaster sighed slightly. The Imperial Do battle team was so cautious that it somewhat exceeded my expectations. I didn't expect you to be able to last until the last moment and drag the opponent down to only 3 people who still have the ability to fight. This is already beyond my expectations. With such a huge gap in soul power, the opponent's strict tactical arrangements, and strange and powerful soul power combo, you guys were able to persevere under such circumstances. You guys passed the 2nd stage of the exam with excellent result. Tang San and the others laughed. You brats, your luck is really bad. Flender laughed loudly. You guys were treated so seriously by the Imperial Do battle team. They used the safest and most reliable method, and also the method with the highest chance of victory, but they still couldn't defeat you quickly. Actually, it's all thanks to Brother Feng. Otherwise, we would have lost. Tang San said embarrassedly. Wang Feng smiled awkwardly. If I didn't defeat Yu Tianheng in 1 punch in the 2-man team battle, they probably wouldn't have taken it so seriously. You can't say it like that. Grandmaster shook his head. The Imperial Do battle team's serious battle brought great pressure and growth to the 7 of them. It's more important than them winning directly. Wang Feng nodded in agreement. That was indeed the case. The stronger the battle team, the more experience they could gain. Only by facing such a powerful battle team would one's confidence increase. The more serious they were, the greater the pressure, the more confidence and experience they would gain after winning. Next, you guys will face the 3rd stage of the training. Grandmaster splashed cold water on them, just as everyone was cheering. But, you guys have a few days off. Why are you afraid? Everyone shook their heads. They were already used to it. Why would they be afraid? Plus, Wang Feng was here. Just thinking about it made them excited. At this time, a figure walked in from outside. Dean Flender, how are you guys? Disciple Qin Ming is here to greet you. This person was Qin Ming, who had changed his clothes. He was about 30 years old, and he looked very young. At this time, he was looking at Flender and Zhao Wuji with excitement, kneeling on one knee with a respectful expression. "Haha, you brat, I thought you forgot about us." Zhao Wuji laughed and said, "That Ming Qin who was down there just now, was that you?" Hearing this, Shrek's group of 7 was shocked. The strongest person down there was Qin Ming. Naturally, it was Ming Qin, the last person to make a move. He was a rank 40 soul elder with the mysterious mutated beast martial soul, the Ash Fire Wolf. Wasn't he a member of the Imperial Do battle team? Qin Ming smiled embarrassedly. That's me. I'm the leader of the Imperial Do battle team. Yu Heng told me about what happened to him, and asked me to join the battle temporarily. He wanted to see if the person who defeated him with 1 punch was one of Shrek's 7 monsters. Qin Ming looked at Wang Feng. I didn't expect him to be here, leader? Shrek's 7 monsters exchanged glances. No wonder he's so strong. It's just as I thought. He suppressed his soul power to participate. He's here for Brother Feng. Tang San thought to himself. Brat, you can relax. Flender patted Qin Ming's shoulder and said with a smile, Come, let me introduce you to Shrek's 7 monsters. I don't need to say more, right? They're your juniors. As for this monster leader you guys just fought, I'll introduce him to you later. End of chapter. Chapter 179. Qin Ming nodded. This monster captain's strength must be extraordinary. Qin Ming wondered if he was a teacher at Shrek Academy. Flender pointed at the Grandmaster. You should be familiar with him. He's Yu Xiaojiang, my brother. He's also a teacher at Shrek Academy and the teacher of these 7 kids. Qin Ming was stunned. He seemed to understand something and said respectfully to the Grandmaster. So you're the Grandmaster? Shrek's 7 monsters are so powerful. The Grandmaster tactician behind them must be you, right? This Grandmaster's reputation was too great. Qin Ming didn't believe he didn't know him. On the way here, Qin Ming had been wondering who the Grandmaster tactician behind Shrek's 7 monsters was. It could be said that this Grandmaster tactician not only made Shrek's 7 monsters so powerful. Even the Imperial Dipper battle team indirectly became stronger. It could be seen. The Grandmaster was stunned. Grandmaster tactician? Yes, Qin Ming said with a face full of admiration. Tian Heng told me before that the match where your Shrek Academy crushed the Battle Berserker squad could be said to be an exquisite match. If these 7 kids didn't have a Grandmaster tactician behind them, they wouldn't have such tacit cooperation, endless soul skill combos, and all kinds of exquisite ideas to break moves, right? In the previous match, the Thousand Arms Azura used his blue-silver grass to blow the Jade Qilin purple poison back to the Imperial Dipper battle team. It could be said that it was a very exciting point. Otherwise, the Imperial Dipper battle team would have 2 more members left. Qin Ming said with a face full of admiration. At this time, Tang San and the others covered their mouths and laughed. Even Flender and Zhao Wuji looked at Qin Ming strangely. What? Did I say something wrong? Qin Ming was stunned. Yes. The Grandmaster shook his head. But there's one thing wrong. I'm not this Grandmaster tactician. Then this Grandmaster tactician is... Qin Ming was stunned. That's me. Wang Feng felt that Qin Ming had bragged enough and walked out with a smile. Qin Ming. Qin Ming looked at Wang Feng in confusion. From experience, this master tactician should be a young man with rich experience and a deep understanding of martial souls and soul skills. He should be at least 40 years old. Master was a perfect match for this identity. How could it be this monster captain? Judging from his voice, he was probably only in his teens. How could he be the master tactician behind Shrek's 7 monsters? That's him. Flender laughed heartily. That's the kid. Those wicked ideas of Shrek's 7 monsters, if he wasn't the one who came up with them, then he would have beaten them up. Shrek's 7 monsters. Hearing this, Qin Ming immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Flanders is right. Although I'm their teacher, I'm only responsible for their training and imparting all kinds of knowledge. Grandmaster said calmly, when it comes to battle tactics and soul skill combinations, most of them were thought up by this monster captain. Qin Ming's body slightly trembled. Wasn't this too terrifying? Not only were their tactics so powerful, but they were also so strong? Don't you have any weaknesses? I didn't expect that after so many years, Shrek would produce such a genius. Qin Ming smiled bitterly. I wonder what type of soul master your monster captain is? I just fought with him, but I really didn't feel it. He couldn't feel it at all. The other party even used his martial soul, so his soul power should be gone. He defeated him with just his physical strength. Especially after those 3 seconds, it was as if he had changed into a different person. He obviously didn't use any soul skill, but how could he suddenly become so powerful? Brother Feng is an auxiliary-type soul master. Xiao Wu said with a smile. His strongest ability now is his auxiliary ability. Qin Ming. Wang Feng glared at Xiao Wu and said, let's not delay them anymore. Let's go and recalculate the points and get the money while we're at it. With that, Wang Feng led everyone out of the room. His strongest ability is really an auxiliary-type soul master? Qin Ming swallowed a mouthful of water and looked at Wang Feng's back. Theoretically, yes. Grandmaster shook his head. That Golden Lotus's auxiliary ability was indeed too strong. It could be seen from his martial soul fusion skill with Rongrong. Qin Ming sighed softly and started chatting with them about other things. The 8 of them went to the Great Soul Arena again to calculate the points. All 7 of them had reached the Silver Warrior Soul level, and the Team Warrior Soul had reached the Gold Warrior Soul level. This news could be said to be unbelievable to Shrek's team. Gold Warrior Soul level. Level 30 reached the Gold Warrior Soul level after Manager AO of the Great Soul Arena handed a black card to everyone. He couldn't help but sigh. I have been in the Great Soul Arena for so many years, and this is the first time I have seen a level 30 Gold Warrior Soul level. You guys haven't lost a single match until now. It's simply a miracle. But don't worry, in the entire Heaven Do Empire, I'm afraid there is no level 30 Gold Warrior Soul team. Among the same level, you guys are the strongest. Everyone laughed. Wang Feng looked at the group of people and wondered if the other teams he encountered in the future would be stronger. At night, the hotel where the Imperial Battle Team was located. Yu Tianheng and the others were about to return to the hotel when a figure suddenly stood in front of them. Uncle, it's you? Yu Tianheng was taken aback. The others were also slightly stunned. Tianheng, long time no see. Let's talk alone. Grandmaster looked at Yu Tianheng and said lightly. Yu Tianheng asked the 6 of them to return to the hotel first and followed Grandmaster on the street. Uncle, why are you here? Yu Tianheng looked at Grandmaster with mixed feelings. He had always missed this uncle of his. When he was young, they were very close. But later, he was expelled from the family. Tianheng, you have grown up. Grandmaster looked up at the night sky slightly. You have grown up. Today's match was very exciting. You are also very smart. It seems like you guys are doing well. Yu Tianheng was taken aback when he heard Grandmaster Ao's words. Uncle, Grandpa, and Dad have always been thinking about you. In fact, they all hope that you can go back. Grandmaster Ao shook his head. It's impossible. Those who are expelled want to go back to the family. Unless the Patriarch agrees, it's impossible. Besides, I am already used to it. If you ask me to go back now, I will live a lowly life. Yu Tianheng fell silent and continued to ask. Uncle, did you watch the match today? But we still lost. We have embarrassed the family. Grandmaster Ao turned around and patted Yu Tianheng on the shoulder. A smile appeared on his stiff face. You guys did very well in today's competition. And every step you took was impeccable. You did not embarrass the family. You have grown up. You have become smarter and more cautious, and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon is known as the #1 beast martial spirit on the continent, but the family has a fatal flaw. Now, I don't see this fatal flaw in you. Grandmaster Ao said. Yu Tianheng was stunned. What flaw? Pride. Grandmaster said lightly. You put down your pride and went all out to deal with a team that seemed to be weaker than you. Yu Tianheng was deeply touched. Uncle, actually, it was a team I met at the Great Soul Arena in Soto that day. They are also today's opponents. They made me put down the pride of the family. Yu Tianheng said with some emotion. Because they knocked away all my pride with one punch. So, I will be more cautious in the future. Grandmaster Ao was speechless. And this chapter ends. Chapter 180. After Wang Feng's group finished calculating their points, they went to a restaurant to celebrate. Not long after, Flender and Zhao Wuji brought Qin Ming to the restaurant. These kids are so talented. I want to represent Heaven Do Imperial Academy and get them in. Qin Ming looked at the 8 and sighed. Junior brothers and sisters, I'm treating today. Eat to your heart's content. Actually, there was some ambiguity in this statement. Tang San and the others looked at each other. After all, Qin Ming was from Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Just eat. This is your senior's goodwill. Are you afraid I'll steal you away with a meal? Flender looked at them with annoyance. Qin Ming was also stunned. He immediately reacted and laughed. Principal, you're right. Wang Feng casually ordered a meal and handed it to the waiter. Wang Feng knew full well that Grandmaster Huo really did want them to join the Heaven Do Imperial Academy as Shrek's 7 monsters. Big Brother Feng, you're really not polite. You're the one who takes advantage of others. Tang San coughed softly a few times. What's there to be afraid of? Maybe Grandmaster really wants us to join Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Wang Feng smiled and drank a cup of ale. Flender's expression changed. At this time, Grandmaster walked over. Lin Feng is right. You can bring them to Heaven Do Imperial Academy. Grandmaster calmly walked over from the other side. He had just finished talking with Yu Tianheng. Flender immediately stood up with a stiff expression. Little gang, I don't like what you're saying. Even if they're from the last batch, they're still Shrek Academy's students. Do you think we can't teach these kids better? Grandmaster looked at him and slowly said, We can teach them better. We can teach better, but there are some things that we can teach. Shrek Academy can't give them. What can't you give them? Zhao Wuji stood up and asked. Qin Ming seemed to understand something. He looked at Shrek's 7 monsters and sighed. He came from Heaven Do Imperial Academy and knew that the teachers were good. However, the conditions were too bad. First of all, it had never been officially registered in the Empire, nor could it be registered. Secondly, the training environment was not good. Wang Feng understood as well. To put it bluntly, the only thing Shrek Academy could rely on was its teachers. However, if a school wanted its students to grow, it needed more. For example, research institutions, knowledge reserves, various laboratories, and so on. More importantly, he had to have a legitimate identity. Only with a legitimate identity could he participate in the Continental Elite Soul Master Tournament. Only the academies that had been registered by the Empire had the right to participate in the competition. In essence, Shrek Academy was a private, unlicensed university. It wasn't qualified to participate in international competitions. Lin Feng, you seem to know. Can you tell them? The master glanced at Wang Feng. Seeing that the kid was eating to his heart's content, he said. Flender's gaze immediately fell on Wang Feng, harboring malicious intentions. Wang Feng coughed a few times and said, I've paid attention to it. I think there are 2 main reasons. First, it's to qualify for the Continental Elite Academy Tournament. Second, it's to have a better cultivation environment, such as a simulated cultivation environment. After he finished speaking, Flender was stunned. Then, he fell silent. Zhao Wuji fell silent as well. The entire continent, these 3 words, could one imagine how glorious this was? Not to mention the rewards. As a soul master, who didn't want to shine on the stage of the continent? Furthermore, they were geniuses. The simulated cultivation environment was even more important. It was a high-end cultivation environment. In Wang Feng's words, it was like a laboratory in a top university. They could learn many things that normal universities couldn't. But they are still Shrek Academy's students. The academy is our 20 years of hard work. Flender glared at the master, his tone carrying a hint of anger. I think Master wants us to join Heaven Do Academy but become independent? Wang Feng hurriedly said to prevent a quarrel. Little 3 and the others are still Shrek's 7 monsters. After entering Heaven Do Academy, they will still be taught by Shrek Academy's teachers. We will keep our name, but we will still graduate under Heaven Do Academy's name. Most importantly, they can't stop us from leaving Heaven Do Academy. Actually, this condition was a little harsh. If it was a normal academy, they would definitely agree. However, Heaven Do Imperial Academy had a noble system and the Heaven Do Empire behind them. They definitely wouldn't agree. Qin Ming thought to himself. Lin Feng is right. That's what I mean. The master patted Flender's shoulder. Flender, I know that Shrek Academy is your many years of hard work. However, Are you willing to let these kids lose the things I'm talking about? Do you want their future achievements to be limited by Shrek Academy's conditions? Don't you want them to go even further? Don't you want the name of Shrek's 7 monsters to resound throughout the continent? The master's 3 consecutive questions calmed Flender down a little, but there was a bit of dejection between his eyebrows. Qin Ming also understood the master's meaning. He felt that this was a good idea, but the Dean and Heaven-Do Imperial Academy might not accept it. However, he could still give it a try. Teacher. Actually, this is borrowing the chicken to lay the eggs. Ma Hongjun walked to Flender's side and glanced at Qin Ming. He whispered, "The Great Master wants us to obtain a better cultivation environment in the Heaven-Do Academy, but he can just leave in a huff after the deed is done. It's like using the Heaven-Do Academy as a chicken to hatch us. After all, teacher, your chicken is a little malnourished. I'm afraid it'll be malnourished when it hatches." Wang Feng. Flender. Everyone. It's not a bad idea. Flender was stunned for a long time before he nodded with a smile. However, there was a lingering gloom in his eyes. Wang Feng understood this gloom. He had thought it through, but he couldn't avoid feelings. He couldn't accept it all at once. Only time could slowly erase it. It was like a couple who had been in love for more than 10 years. Due to various reasons, they broke up peacefully. However, sadness was unavoidable. No matter how much he thought about it, it was useless. Just like that, the group finished their meal and returned to Shrek Academy. In the following days, they began 2 months of concentrated soul power training. Because there were too many battles in the first 4 months, they needed time to digest everything. Naturally, the best way to digest this was through soul power training. At the same time, the master also used Wang Feng's method of training and cultivating at the same time. He allowed everyone to try cultivating under various conditions. Simply put, he wanted them to be like Wang Feng and cultivate at the same time. However, this wasn't going to be easy. End of chapter. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.